I'm going live. I don't give a shit. We're just doing it.
Rock and roll, man.
Yeah, baby. We're rocking and rolling.
Man.
Yeah.
I hope everyone likes our cool, our trendy new backgrounds.
And it don't get no better than this. This is how the pros do it.
I just wonder if people are just gonna get like annoyed as heck, and then like we have to change it. I don't know. We're not known for being polished.
Oh man, here we are. We got TVs now.
Wow. We're all on TV.
Just the dime. I don't know how.
Don't change that channel.
Don't. Oh God.
We just listen. We just want.
Hey, Rob Stitson's coming back finally. Rob Stinson exited right as we went live.
We just want to give the people. We want to go ahead and own our brand of what is Rob talking about? Our brand of, you know, we're not HD quality, right? So we're just owning it. Like this is us coming at you.
Totally champagning, and
if you can't see us,
oysters don't like it.
If you can't see us real good, then just adjust your rabbit ears. You know, like you got to sometimes you got to put tinfoil on them and get better reception. That's how
Wrestling with the MMAs in the chat saying our frame rates are shite.
Oh, you got to adjust your antenna. It's not our fault.
Oh man, yeah, right here in the studio, it is crystal clear broadcast quality. Can't blame it on us.
Here in the Gary Horns studios.
That's a good ice cream sandwich, man.
That where you went, Rob? Did you?
No, man, my Zoom cut out. Then I came back in. You're already live.
Your Zoom cut out, and you were just like, I think I'll get an ice cream sandwich.
Yeah.
You know how to make the best of a bad situation, Rob.
Right.
I'll tell you.
Then I come back on. Lo and behold, y'all's already live, man. Didn't even wait on me.
Podcast is brought to you by Monster Energy and Bud Light Seltzer.
Is that true?
One of us is an adult.
New sponsors?
I was going to make fun of you, but I also have Curly over here.
Thanks for
and Uno Coors Light. So I'm ready. I'm ready to party, baby. We're getting down. You. My wife's going to hear that. I'm going to get it.
The new thing that the kids are saying now. Yeah, they're all saying yeet, yeet. That's a new thing.
Uh-huh.
Kids out on the block, they're like, yeet, yeet.
Yeah, yeet. You got to yeet. Like, you got to yeet on out of here. Whoa, what's up? She just appeared out of nowhere.
Well, hello.
Like a dang ghost. Why are you all spruced up? I guess you got makeup on. You got lipstick and stuff. What's going on?
Who let
you? She was going to see Gary Horn.
She's trying to get some gravy cake, bro.
Oh man, I wasn't trying to embarrass her. I was just pointing out.
Oh man,
guys, we got a lot to talk about today, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started, I guess. We'll just figure it out as we go. Sound good, everybody? All right, great. No, I think we're ready enough. I'm presuming that Will is sending out the messages to let the people know.
I'm working on it, man. Listen, if you're in the chat, there's a big surprise coming that you're going to find out when you see this tweet.
Real quick.
And then you guys can help us get the word out. But we'll let you guys see the tweet before we spoil it. Let me tag some folks in this. Let's see. Okay. Yep.
My beard crooked. I feel like it's crooked. What's happening there? I can't tell.
Should I tag Rob in this?
A little longer on one side to the other.
Should you tag me in it?
Yeah, should I tag Rob in this? I don't know. He's kind of spotty. He's in and out.
I mean, you know, Rob, he's difficult. It's
right here, like I ain't even here. You know, you just like I'm not even sitting right here. You talking about me behind. You know what? You talking about me behind my back, in front of my face?
Yo, both.
It's one thing to talk about someone behind their back, but right in front of their face.
To talk about me behind my back, right in front of me? Come on.
That's jacked up, man. That's a whole new level of gravy cake.
Ugh, that's how we do things on this show, though.
Gravy
we talk
cake's
about
a
you
good
behind your
thing,
back in
Rob.
front of your face.
What?
Gravy cake's good. You said it's like a whole new layer of gravy cake, like it was something bad.
Like it's a crappy layer of gravy cake.
Whew.
No such thing.
Gravy cake is good, top to bottom, side to side, diagonal.
Not when y'all put that sour cream icing on there. It's not. I hate that joke, man. Wow.
Rob, I knew we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. I didn't know gravy cake was one of them.
Is that our round table discussion tonight?
Yeah. Gravy cake. What is it? And do you like it?
And that's what I'm talking about, Will. That's why I hate that layer of gravy cake. And if you think otherwise, you are a moron.
It sounds about right. That's how people on Twitter sound.
Yeah.
If you say one thing they don't agree with.
Uh-oh, I see the tweet.
This is the boring first part of the show.
Or is this the best part of the show? Discuss that room.
All right, I got to do this real quick because we got something going on. Well, what's up, you beautiful people? This is Gary Horner. This is the NW. This is the NWA. You know how it goes. It's a podcast celebrating the past, present, future, history, legacy, and tradition of the greatest pro wrestling entity of all time. We're talking about the National Wrestling Alliance, and it's been a big week, and we're glad you're all here. Thank you guys for being here right now. There's Will. There's Rob. You can see them right there on your screen. And also, here's Thunder Rosa.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Just
There's
like
Thunder
that.
Rosa. So
No
also
time
Thunder Rosa is here. We just started. Did you just wake up? I saw you wiping your eyes. Like you're just like
taking a power nap.
Yeah, dude. First of all, thank you for having me. Like didn't sleep at all. Like I was still pumped, and I was like, I came and I was like, hey man, I'm just not gonna sleep. And then I got hungry, and then I ate, and I was like, all right, I'm going to sleep. So I got a really good nap. But
nice. What did you eat?
Thai food. I need to have a good. Yeah, I need to have good food because I stayed in Jacksonville for a whole week, so it was kind of hard to like eat everything I wanted because there's nothing around there. So yeah.
Now, do they ask you like the level of heat you want on the Thai food? Like, do you want like 3 is like American, 1 is 3? And what do you get? What level of heat do you get?
I got mild. I really don't like to eat like super spicy food because I can't enjoy it. I mean, I'm Mexican, but I don't like spicy food as much as I used to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, these are the hard-hitting questions that everyone's concerned about. What are you eating?
I mean, clearly you've had a big week, and it's been all about what you've had on your menu, and so that's what everybody wants to ask about.
What did I have on the menu?
No. I was just saying it's been a big week, so these are the important questions people are wanting to know. Like, what did you eat? What was Jacksonville like? So, obviously you've had nothing else going on for a little while. So,
no, man, it was. I don't know. It was really good, man. I really had a lot of fun. From Wednesday, and the thing is like. The pressure was on. Like everybody was like, "You guys tell me, I have to like knock it out of the park." Like on Wednesday too, and then and then another thing, they gave us time, which they never do on Dynamite, ever, on women's wrestling. And then I come, and I'm the NWA champion. Serena Deeb's not even signed, and it's just like, all right, girl, like we like literally both said, let's. We're in the back, and there was supposed to be some stuff, and then Omega came, and then he looked at us and said, show them what a real women's wrestling match should look like.
Nice.
Well, I think you did it. I listened to a lot of wrestling recap podcasts. That's how I keep up with the hours and hours of wrestling content, and there was not one AEW recap that didn't spotlight that match between you and Serena and say it was a home run all the way around. And so you guys definitely accomplished that. Obviously last night was incredible. And so, I mean, you said you were tired, but overall, how are you feeling about the outcome last night and what went down?
I'm still like saying thank you to people. I was like, I had so many messages. People were texting me, calling me, FaceTiming me, emailing me. any way that they could contact me, they did. And I mean, I just went out there and did my thing, and I want to thank Billy and Tony for allowing me to be there in such a big platform, because me alone, I would not be able to make it, because I'm NWA, so I had to like follow the stuff. I also want to thank Maureen for making sure that my stuff were taken care of, like all the cool gear that you saw. High Spots did it in 1 week. She made it happen.
Nice.
Oh yeah, you had the cool like NWA logo. We were happy to see that like represent.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, that was cool.
Yes, I also I want to thank Trevor Murdoch. Like, even though he wasn't there with me, like he was there with me. Like I had countless conversations with him, and I was complaining, talking, just like talking about wrestling, and he really like helped me to get in the mind and just remind me who Thunder Rosa is on NWA and how can I portray that and continue to portray that. He's definitely somebody as an agent that has helped me so much from the beginning. It's been a team effort, and I just came there and just represented. And yesterday was really good because Sheeta was, she was really to do something different. She's worked with us. I mean, the people, of course, that she works with in AEW, but I don't think they have an opponent like me in the roster. And I show it from the moment I showed up there. That first week I went there and I went to training, and I show the girls how you should look when you train and how you should look when you get in the ring. You should be the same way, and you should train just as hard, because it's, national TV and it's prime time,
I don't think anybody would argue that they don't have an opponent like you. I mean, that's just facts. We actually, like, some of the discussions I've had with people are like, okay, well, now what is Sheeta supposed to do? Because it's like,
baby. What was that? That's not, that's like that on my hands. I always say that if they want to continue to work with us and then continue to want to work with me specifically, they know what to do. I mean, I'm contractually obligated to work with NWA, and it worked perfectly good this time. And although I lost yesterday, I think I had, like I said this before, I had a lot more to win, even if I lost, and I mean, it was proven. Like I don't let things get in my head, but I read a lot of reviews, and like one of them, I think it was Bleacher Report, and it's pretty much said that I did a lot more in 3 weeks that anybody else have done in the women's division in the whole year.
100%. Yep.
In 1 week. I mean, not actually 3 weeks, with the promo, with the hype of the promo, with the confidence. It's like people really felt like invested in the match, yep. And I was just there to do that. That was my job, how I said it on the promo, and it was like half shoot, half true. I came here to put the women's division on notice, and I came here to put women's wrestling on the map, and that's what I did. Everybody's talking about this match. Like Wednesday, we have the highest ratings in AEW history. In our match with Serena, even I had one of the highest ratings ever for a women's match. So yeah, that tells you something. They are people that watch AEW are hungry for good women's wrestling.
Absolutely.
Right. They're like good losses and bad losses, and that was a good loss because it elevated you and all of women's wrestling. I'd be curious to know like what kind of conversations you had with Sheeta afterwards, and if you had thought maybe would the outcome have been different if it were on in front of an NWA audience on home soil. And how does your perception adjust now as you're facing Lindsay Snow here in a couple of weeks?
Oh man, I was like, Brian just told me, and I was just like, it's gonna have to be a banger because people are gonna have like an expectation. I mean, it's a championship match. Responding to your Sheeta match, it was literally like she was very happy. I was at first like there was like some stuff, you going over your head, and you're like, man, I don't know about this, I don't know about that. But then after we did the match, sorry, one of my friends is like trying to contact me since yesterday, and I have not been able to call him.
We won't keep you forever, I promise. We know you're busy and tired.
Hold on.
Look like you're high.
Sorry, I'm like thinking.
Easy, Brian. Easy.
We didn't really think it was going to be you. We thought that Brian was really just going to show up and be like, "Hey guys."
No, you got to do it. Oh, thank you for the video, by the way. Before I respond to your question.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Really enjoy it. Really enjoy it.
Glad you liked it. Like I said, I tried to put that thing out like 2 weeks ago, and it's just like family stuff and everything kept happening, and I was like, "F it, I'm putting it out. It's just coming out anyway right now."
So with Cheetah, she was really happy. Like I think she really wanted to show her how she wrestles in Japan, you know, and how she can, you know, show like it was a battle, and that was like the thing that I was like stressing the most. I think for us in NWA, like one of the most important parts besides doing spot is like telling a story, you know, and like the whole entire time I told everybody that I was gonna beat her ass, you know, and that's what I did. I beat her ass, but you know, she got me and she won, and it was like hard fought. It wasn't gonna be any freaking like, oh, let's, you know, do like all this high spots and stuff. Now, like I mean, like I said, I can do whatever. Like I can go into whatever style, and I've done it before, you know. But on this one, I really want to show who Thunder Rosa is and how people saw me on the NWA when I first started, you know, which is like a 5'3" little bull, a little monster that is just ready to like fight. And I was watching and I was telling my husband, like, man, I was like, some of the strikes that I was doing, I didn't even believe how good they looked. Like the beginning after we separate from like the high spot, and I give her the tip, and I literally legit punch her in the face when it did like the mini super punch, Superman punch. It was like that. Like I was so eager. Like I just want to beat her ass, and it was so much fun. And she liked it. She loved it.
That's awesome. I mean, we seeing the match. One thing people get worried about these kind of things. Like our promotion's going to be selfish in the way that they treat their own people. You know, like it's already a big step that I think a lot of people wouldn't have expected that Billy and Tony were able to work out something that they were okay with you and Sheeta facing off against each other. I mean, that's already a bigger step than like most major promotions would make. And then I think a lot of people, as we talk to people on the live show, are worried like, well, what are they going to do to her? They're going to try to make her look stupid, or they're going to like try to make like AEW's better than NWA and Sheeta's like unstoppable and blah, blah, blah. But you put that all to rest, because I mean, you went out there and you looked like a bull. Like you ran her over and you took it to her, and you looked strong the entire time. And I mean, by the end of that match, I mean, I think most people walked away saying like, wow, Sheeta's lucky. Like she got out of that one okay. Like, because you had that pretty much the entire time, it seemed like.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I'm really gracious that she was willing to tell that story, you know, and we did. And I mean, it could have like looked super weak if I wasn't like there, you know, mentally, or like to had a night off, but there was too much in stake. And everybody was like, you guys have to knock it out of the park. You guys have to knock it out of the park. And the whole point was for us was like steal the show, you know, because it's always like the guys can do all cool stuff like flip and like jump from big places, but it's like being technical and you know, wrestling with passion and with heart, you know. And you know, I always do that.
My dog started going crazy back here. Sorry. I was going to point out to these guys later when we did like a kind of a recap. We were planning on talking later about tonight about AEW, and just tell them that one of the cool things I see out of this walking away is that most of the recaps I heard, because I wanted to hear what people said. We were excited just because of our investment in Thunder Rosa being an attraction and a main event. I was listening to other people's reviews, and I was going to tell them, I was like, you know, what's funny is like everywhere I listen, and I don't want to give you a big head here, but like most everybody was talking about, oh, and then this happened, then this happened, and then there's the Thunder Rosa match, and then there's the Thunder Rosa match. Well, in the Thunder Rosa match, this happened, and I'm like, that's already something. Like they're talking about the Thunder Rosa match, and so I was like, that's pretty awesome. That means you made a statement. You were on the platform to make a statement. Now people know, and hopefully you see the payoff from that like it feels like it's going up.
It's like it's absolutely like not only the payoff was we had great reviews and we were both happy with the results. Again, I watched it and there was a couple things that I should work on and I continue to work on. I really did work on, just some technical stuff that I'm very picky about. But people really enjoy it. They were invested in it, And we had people talking about women's wrestling the whole entire time. The whole entire week, people were talking about AEW women's wrestling and how it can be done the proper way if they have the proper people in the women's division, just to make it really strong. And like, that's one thing I said, they're the biggest competition for WWE, and if they have people and they have people that can perform the way that I do, the way that Serena D does, they're going to be unstoppable. It's the women are going to have time on national TV and showcase good stories, good matches, and stuff like that. So again, I am, I'm always about making change and then like opening people's eyes. And if that was the only thing that I will do and I accomplish, I think I did.
Yeah. Right. Did it feel like the relationship still feels pretty strong? Like everybody seemed happy and all of that there? Yes.
Producers were really happy. Omega was really happy. Tony was very happy. He was very satisfied. Remember, Tony is the boss and he's all about numbers. He's all about, popularity. So he saw that they did a great job on booking this match and just booking this for the pay-per-view because it created hype. People were talking on social media. And the impressions were amazing on the first promo. I think also about 1.5 million people went and saw stuff on Twitter for that 1 minute promo. And about 500,000 or 700,000 people watched the promo on Twitter. I mean, that's insane. And this is the first time ever in AEW with a women that people are so invested in it. And I'm not even part of AEW.
Right.
And I didn't even step in the ring and people were already hyped up. And that's the thing. Like, people are like, oh, who's this Thunder Rosa chick, man? Like, what's the hype all about? And then that's when I was like, okay, if I under-deliver, I'm fucked, So, like, literally. So that's why the Serena Deeb match was so important. And yes, I had some like, oh man, she like gave her too much, and she didn't look that strong. Well, the problem was like all my stuff was in between commercials, so people didn't see what we did during the commercials. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's like we show what women's wrestling looked like, and like two technicians and like a veteran and like a hungry rising star just doing something in the ring, and people still talk about the match. I mean, for Christ's sakes, Jim Cornette had nothing to say.
Yeah, there you go. And if anybody was going to have something to say.
Exactly. Exactly. He actually watched the match, which was the funniest thing. I was listening to it. I was like, oh my God, this is so funny. But he enjoyed the match, and he's like one of the most critical people of them all. And he liked the match, So it's like, wow, like that's just a testament of how much like somebody like Serena and I, we love women's professional wrestling, and how we're willing to, put it out there.
And now the focus of the women's wrestling world is shifting to Buddha, Texas, and Mission Pro. Certainly, this has to enhance that. And I'm wondering, how do you come off of this high of being really, I mean, in my opinion, main eventing AEW pay-per-view and then focusing on Lindsay Snow because that's very dangerous.
Let's not forget too, you've got Kimberly on Saturday, I think.
Right.
You got Kimberly on Saturday. You're going to UWN Primetime Live. I don't even know what you're doing there. I don't even know if you know what you're doing there. And that's on Tuesday. And then on Friday, you've got Mission Pro and versus.
I don't know. I'm not gonna be there on Tuesday. I don't.
Oh, you're not gonna be there on Tuesday.
I announced Camille.
Oh, okay. I thought they showed an image of you and they had said you were gonna show up.
I don't know if I this, but
I think you're at the 22nd.
I'm on the 22nd.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's I will probably be dead. I will probably be dead if I have like back to back.
I was about to say, it sounds like, we found out you did. I said in the video, does she ever take a nap? And I was like, I guess we found out like right before this, you did get a nap finally, but.
I was so tired. I was not I was not gonna sleep, but I need to take a nap. But yeah, so I have Kimberly, which is my first match with her ever. Never had a match like one-on-one. So that's gonna be fun. And then I have Mission Pro, which I want to thank all the fans. We're like literally almost sold out.
So you are sold out.
We are like technically sold out. We're gonna release a little bit more tickets before the show.
That's amazing.
We're probably not. If we sell out, like we're not gonna take anybody. We just want to make sure everybody's like socially distancing properly. So yeah, so like the response have been amazing. And then after this, it's just like we sold out. And then when Lindsay's low, I'm really excited because she's a technician. She's very technical minded and she's very strong and I know she's hungry and I'm coming from a defeat right now, but I have a lot to work because I have to show that why I'm the NWA champion. So I think it's gonna be a very hard-hitting match as always.
Yeah, I believe that. We're excited about that match. I mean, Brian can tell you we talk about it all the time on here, and I think we've told everybody that watches and listens to the podcast that they can't be friends with us anymore if they don't at least go watch it on the Title Match Network and go watch Mission Pro and make it so that the Title Match Network is like, this is the most people that have ever watched anything on one of our things before. So.
Yeah. Tanya will be front row, but Brian's told me I'm banned from the building, so I'll be watching it from the hotel, evidently.
I don't know, but yeah, like I would like for people to like see and support it. And if not, if you want to promote your business, we are open for sponsorships for our next show. We closed sponsorships last year. We're taking it. We're making sure that we get all the sponsorship before we announce when we're gonna run our next show. And again, like we were super overwhelmed with the response, and we're really happy because we are able to bring you really good wrestling in this like really difficult time, and we're very, very excited.
Thunder, we don't want to keep you forever. I mean, obviously you've had a busy enough time and you've got more busy times ahead, but I do have to ask you one other thing. Actually, let me just do this real quick. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I want to ask you about. Allison Kay has been on a rant about you. So, so she basically said that I was looking for the exact same picture or the exact picture or the tweet that she put out, but I'm having trouble finding it right this second.
Yeah, that just like in my MMA match, I choked and I lost.
You bit off more. Here it is. Once again, Thunder Rosa bit off more than she could chew, and she choked, just like her MMA fight. You've embarrassed our entire company. She also goes on later, like somebody says something about it that they rubbed it in her face. Like, did you forget that she beat you for the championship? And she replied and said, I defended that title for almost an entire year without a goon squad behind me. Is it just a coincidence that once Rosa won the belt, the entire world shut down? And she's a fighting champion who didn't even put her championship on the line.
First of all, I defended my championship the following week with her, and then I defended my championship in Corpus Christi. I was supposed to defend my championship in Japan. Corona happened. I'm about to defend my championship once more.
And what's she doing?
Exactly. I mean, I'm sorry. I was busy. I was busy putting the NWA on the map with millions of people in the world. My Brian's on that.
I know, we got him fired up. He gets fired up back there. We've seen it before.
I'm I mean, she can say whatever she wants to say. She's just jealous, man. She's just, first of all, she's trying to get that clout. She knows right now I was training, so she's gonna try to get that clout. Why wouldn't she? She ain't doing jack crapping nothing besides, promoting her Patreon with Marty Bell and making money that way. I mean, baby,
Marty Bell's supposed to be enemies.
Well, they're best friends now.
Oh.
The pandemic happened and they felt alone. I'm here making big strides in my life, and she's all over there hating. But you know what? My fans said what they needed to say. I don't even need to respond to her, what do we call her? Irrelevant ass. I mean, she wants to get it. She wants to go for another one. Fine, I'll go for another one and I beat her one more time so she can shut her mouth. And I know she still will talk crap about it.
Back in line.
I
already lost twice.
Twice.
Back in line.
Yeah,
I mean, Ashley Box or something.
Yeah, I mean,
You're gonna have to calm him down.
I now got more hot opponents that are active than she is. So, I mean, like I said, I did something very special. I put the NWA in the map again. People are talking about it. People are excited about it. We put women's wrestling in the map. She can say whatever she wants. I really don't care. She knows that. And if she wants to come and get it, fine. Come and try me again.
I feel like you're both about to start being in the same places or running in the same circles again here pretty soon, hopefully. So maybe you guys can hash it out.
We will. I ain't got no problem. She knows I'm ready when she's ready. I know she lives in Detroit. I can just show up and over there and be like, "What's up?"
I think Sheeta could vouch for you being willing to just show up somewhere if somebody wants to talk some trash.
Nothing to lose. I ain't got nothing to lose,
Yeah.
Make sure Brian films it so we can cover it.
We'll do a match, maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Well, Thunder, we don't want to keep you anymore. You go spend time with your family and you enjoy your time off. You don't get very much, I don't think. And
No.
we're grateful that you showed up here and did this with us. This was awesome. We're very lucky to have you do stuff like that for us.
Well, I just want to thank all of you guys and the hashtag NWA family for being extremely supportive, for staying with us, for being part of the Patreon, continue to pay to support NWA, not giving up on us. I know it's been a hard time for wrestling. It's been a hard time for NWA, and like people still hopeful that we're coming back soon and we're gonna come back stronger and better. And we cannot thank you guys enough for keeping our name and the NWA, relevant.
And go watch Mission Pro Wrestling on the Title Match Network on September 18th.
Yes.
Hell Hath No Fury.
Yes.
Got to do that, or else Thunder will show up at your house. She'll do it now.
I will.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We appreciate you.
You guys have a good night.
You too, buddy. Well, that was Thunder Rosa.
There you go.
No big deal. Just the holder of the Burke, hottest wrestler in the world right at the moment. No big deal. That's just what we do on the show.
Welcome to the show, everyone.
Yeah, don't ever say we don't do any surprises on this show, because there she was, just right up top. Thunder Rosa shows up. You never know. I think we say it all the time. It's nice to remind everybody every once in a while. You never know who's going to show up on the live show. And I tell you what, that was really nice of her. She didn't have to do that, and that was. I mean, I don't want to talk too much out of school, but I think it's okay to say that like she reached out and said that that's something she wanted to do. That was like just not even something like we were like trying to hound her. We're sure that a lot of people would like to talk to her right now, but she was immediately willing and she wanted to come address the hashtag NWA fam. So you can't ask for more than that out of a fighting champion.
And I think it just confirms, I mean, one of the things that I feel like we've been aware of, that maybe if you guys aren't paying really close attention to her and what she's doing and things like that, this whole process, a lot of people have been, we mentioned it, talking to her, scared that like, oh, AEW's poaching talent, this and that and this and that. Thunder Rosa has gone into this the entire time carrying the NWA banner. She's had the belt every time she's been in there. And if you see and listen to the things that she said, she went in there as an ambassador of the National Wrestling Alliance to as she said, put the NWA back on the map after this hiatus. So, her coming on here tonight and wanting to do that and being so available to us and to you guys, the hashtag NWA fam, just further confirmation that, she's NWA. She's doing this for all the right reasons. And I couldn't be prouder of her and the NWA for how all this went down.
Right. And seeing that NWA on her trunks there on the Dynamite show, and everything that she has done has been nothing but to promote. Obviously herself, but also the National Wrestling Alliance. She brought great dignity to that belt in a way that no one else has. She put it on a stage. This has to, honestly, Gary, Will, you guys know, thinking back, I can't remember. And you had some great NWA Women's Champions, and you have some great matches, but I can't remember that title being on a bigger stage ever than what it was last night. I can't. I'm scratching my head thinking you'd have to go all the way back to Burke herself to think of something more important, more meaningful for the NWA Women's Division and women's wrestling at large.
Yeah, absolutely. I was trying to think of this the other day too, on Saturday, just about like, wow, this is a huge moment for the National Wrestling Alliance, and a lot of people are going to be disappointed, that the outcome wasn't what we all hoped it would be. But I think in the long haul, this is a big deal. And Thunder Rosa showed up on AEW and delivered an excellent match and provided their champion with an excellent opponent that drew a lot of attention. What I'm trying to get out, I guess, is that she delivered in every aspect that she could possibly deliver on. And the relationship between NWA and AEW, I think in this situation, that, if we go pull the curtain back even just a little bit, the idea that Billy Corgan and Thunder Rosa worked that deal out with Tony Khan and AEW to have this all happen, and I feel like has to be an act of good faith, like to show they're willing to do business. Like Nick Aldis always says, they're open for business. I think this proves it. That and personally, I meant to ask her, and there was a couple of things that I meant to ask her about, but I just felt like she's got to be tired. I can't believe she's doing this. And but I wanted to ask her about the theme song, and I also wanted to ask her. AEW's out there right now teasing Shida Rosa too. They're already
on in an NWA audience where Thunder Rosa has the home field advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be amazing to see. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot left. That's a lot of doors have opened up here. A lot of possibilities. This is I think she was an excellent ambassador for our favorite wrestling brand and walked right into AEW and made that brand look good. And now people, and for herself, because now a lot of people know who Thunder Rosa is, and they're going to want to know more about her. And
to you, incognito, you're over here watching our show, dude. You're watching our show, so I don't think the freaking experiment failed. You're an idiot. Sorry.
I think our mods got a hold of that one. I didn't even see it. So, but anyway, so yeah, they that's it, man. It worked, and hopefully it brings more eyes to the NWA as time goes on. So I'm happy, and I couldn't have asked for more out of that. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about before we move into some like wrestling news and?
Well, I guess I just wanted to touch on. Do you think that either one of y'all get a sense that that coming off of this high of this match that now Lindsay Snow is particularly dangerous, and we can't overlook Kimberly, like you mentioned, Gary, to Thunder. You can't overlook her. Both of those are exceedingly dangerous opponents.
Yeah, I mainly also, not even discounting Kimberly. I just mean I wanted to make sure we got that in there just for the fact that it's like Thunder Rosa's not just leaving straight from All Out into facing the American Kaiju. Thunder Rosa's got to stop off first. Like, she's not taking a break in the middle of any of this. She went straight from Serena Deeb to Sheeta, and she's going to Kimberly and then to Lindsay Snow. Like, a lot of these ladies are having like one match here and there, or a lot of wrestlers in general are having that. And Thunder Rosa's out there busting her ass every single time that she can get booked on a card and prove what she can do. She's out there doing it. I mean, you can't ask for a harder worker than Thunder Rosa right now. I mean, she's out there doing it. It's impressive to me. So, yeah, I think she's got to be worried about Lindsay Snow. Lindsay Snow's got, you know, I don't know. I don't know how long Lindsay Snow's been wrestling. That's something I should probably look into sometime. But I feel like she feels like she's less experienced. And so there's that factor, but don't doubt her ability and how dangerous she can be. We've seen her. If you've watched the Circle Squared, you've seen her, and she doesn't play. You can go watch her matches online right on YouTube right now. You can see a bunch of her stuff. If there's anybody that'll tap you out in a second, it's the American Kaiju, Lindsay Snow. So and also just saw somebody take Thunder to the absolute limit. So, I mean, you can't ask for a better tape to preview before a big match than that. So, I mean, I think that she's got the advantage over Sheeta even in that aspect of it. You know, she's going to have a lot to look at before she gets into the ring with Thunder.
Well, and you got to imagine, you know, there's two scenarios here. Both of them are plausible. Either these women that are going to be facing Thunder coming up, either they're salivating at the chance to kind of capitalize on this loss that just happened and try to, you know, kind of get one over on her, or they're shaking in their boots because if they know Thunder Rosa and they've seen her, this has done nothing but light a bigger fire under her. So she's likely to come out twice as dangerous in these matches. Like she just said it, talking to us, like these are going to have to be barn burners now at this point because she's been on this stage and she's proven herself even through a loss. And so, you know, you got to wonder what's in these ladies' heads right now, knowing they're going to finish. And then not to mention the entire rosters of the NWA. We mentioned Allison Kay, but the rest of the roster, UWN, who they're all going to be on shows together here coming up when UWN Primetime Live starts. So, you know, who knows what the future holds.
It's going to be crazy. And if you've been living under a rock and you don't know what we're talking about when we talk about the American Kaiju, Lindsay Snow facing off against Thunder Rosa, that's all taking place on Friday, September the 18th. Mission Pro Wrestling's Hell Hath No Fury coming out of Buda, Texas. As you heard Thunder Rosa just talk about, it's practically sold out. They are going to open up some more tickets. So there's still a chance to go see this thing live like our own Dr. Stinson is going to do. But if you're unable to do so, it's available on the Title Match Network. You can go subscribe to them right now and you'll be able to view this event. I know we're all going to do it. Hopefully everybody in the hashtag NWA fam is going to do it. We're excited. The NWA Women's Championship is on the line. The Burke is up for grabs for a very dangerous opponent. And it's going to be amazing. Not only that, there's like 6 other matches scheduled for that thing, including folks like Jenna Van Muscles and Roxy, Alex Gracia, Maddie Rinkowski, Red Velvet, who you've seen on AEW here recently. Speaking of AEW, Big Swole's going to be there. Elena Black versus Rachel Rose. There's just so many. La Rosa Negra. I'm probably missing something right off the top of my head, but it's going to be an amazing event. I can't wait to watch this thing. It's going to be exciting. So missionprowrestling.net if you want some more details on that. They've got merch over there. Like Thunder Rosa said, they're opening up sponsorships for their next shows. So they're already even planning that. So things are looking up for it. Got to check that out. Support an independent wrestling promotion like Mission Pro Wrestling, especially one. This is completely women run from top to bottom. All ladies involved in this thing, from the cameras to the booking to the people in the ring. I mean, it's all done that way. So it's going to be quite the feat for everyone just involved to just put on a show like this. I don't know if it's the first one of its kind completely like that, but it's up there. It's going to be historic, I think.
Yeah, and I've long said, I mean, and this is no shade on Sheeta at all. That was an epic match, but I've long felt that that the styles of Thunder Rosa and Lindsay Snow are very similar. And to me, this is the Super Bowl right here. I mean, you have an exquisitely dangerous and similar opponent in Lindsay Snow. It's going to be fantastic. I'm excited to be there.
Amazing. All right, guys. Well, there's plenty to talk about this week. I mean, besides just Thunder Rosa 24/7. I mean, we're going to talk about the AEW. I think we all three watched AEW All Out. A lot of people in our chat watched All Out, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about wrestling news. There's one hot topic in wrestling going on right now that I feel like is going to lead to some debate, because we have like a historically capitalist just monster in the chat right now. Or not in the chat, I'm sorry, like actually on screen with us right now. And, no, I just feel like it's going to be a big deal. So we can jump into talking about, I guess, what do you think? Start with All Out, just do some recapping that event.
Let's do it.
Well, let's do this. Let's go around the room here. Overall, where were you guys at? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle? Like, how you feeling about AEW All Out overall?
I was overall kind of thumbs sideways. I mean, if not for Thunder Rosa, I would have been very underwhelmed. So that was definitely a high point. It was definitely exciting, and there was some good storytelling and things like that, things that I like about it. I think, and Gary, we were chatting, and I think you echoed this sentiment as well. I was very disappointed in the tag title match, and that whole, just the match as a whole, it just never gripped me. I never felt bought into it like I thought I was going to. And then, obviously we'll get into the details and talk about this, but the Matt Hardy incident and the injury kind of just overshadowed everything. And so there was just like this weird dark cloud, and it was weird. It wasn't, again, except for Thunder Rosa's strikes, it just didn't really feel like a polished, clean AEW show,
Yeah, I'm kind of with Will on that. I would give it a slight thumbs up. I think like there are marked differences between the first half of the show and the second half, with Thunder Rosa's match being sort of the redeeming turning point. I definitely feel like the second half was stronger, or at least more intriguing. I know we've had a lot of really strong opinions on like the Orange Cassidy Jericho contest. I actually was kind of pleased with that. And then, watching MJF is always fun. I was really, especially after Dynamite, I was really, really intrigued by this one as well. And I'm not going to lie, I wasn't 100% disappointed in it. So I'd give it a slight, I'm with Will with a slight thumbs up. I'd give it if I were grading on a 4-point scale, I'd give it a 2+ or a 3-.
Yeah, I think that it rounded out by the end for me, that things played out pretty well. But I did feel like the show overall was a bit long, and I felt like the matches, like some of the matches could have been tightened up a little bit. And I mean, obviously I always feel weird talking about stuff that way. I'm no expert by any means. It just, as a fan, that's my opinion, that some of the stuff just that dragged out a little bit. And so, and it's weird to me that happened, because, obviously one of the matches was clearly cut short. And so it's just, it's kind of interesting to me that would be the issue. But I mean, we could talk about stuff. I don't know. Do you guys want to run through the results of all of the things? Okay. So basically, we're looking at, in the buy-in portion of it, I don't know if you guys watched this. Joey Janela fought Serpentico, or Serpent. Is that how you say it? Serpentico. Yes. Sorry, mm-hmm. I'm terrible at my job. Did you guys check this out? Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I saw it. It was decent. I like Joey Janela. I like him and Sonny Kiss being kind of partnered up. I think that's a cool dynamic. And, I like Joey Janela in general. It was a great match for the buy-in. it's ironic. I mean, there wasn't a lot of buy-in from me, but it was a good wrestling match.
Yeah, you're right. It was solid. I mean, it's so, storytelling and narrative helps these kinds of things, and when you lack it, that takes away from some of the oomph. But it was solid. It was quality.
Yeah, I think Will brings up the biggest point to me. I do like Luther. I think Luther seems kind of cool. Obviously, I'm a luchador fan, but something about Luther strikes me as like looking cool. Like I want to see some more out of what happens with him. But the biggest part of that match for me is clearly I think Joey Janela and Sonny Kiss have some really good chemistry, and
right.
I'd like to see more out of them as they go along. I think there's something to be done with those guys. And all right, then there was there's the Private Party versus Dark Orders 3 and 4 that took place. Private Party defeated these guys. Pretty athletic match. Just I mean, nothing like majorly eventful, I don't think, out of this one. But overall, I mean, just a run-of-the-mill match, right?
Yeah, I'm having trouble overall getting really behind Private Party. I was at first, and I felt like they kind of bursted on the scene at AEW and really made a name for themselves and then fizzled out. And I think you could say that at this point about a lot of AEW talent that looked promising. I mean, we talked about it last week with Scorpio Sky and some comments that he made. I know he was on the show, but he kind of came out and I mean, he had a title match at one point, with Jericho, and then hasn't really been featured that much since. So I think Private Party for me is kind of in that same camp where I want to be behind them and I want to get excited about all their matches, but I just don't have a reason to be yet. And so they're very physical, very athletic, very entertaining. But again, from storyline and where they're typically positioned in stories, I'm not behind it yet.
Right. So is this a booking issue? Because I'm with you. Like I actually, to me, I really like Private Party a lot. I mean,
I do too.
I do too. Tag teams, and I just feel like that the situations haven't been there. Even this match was like you're wrestling some B team guys from the Dark Order, and this is a team that I think could easily be maneuvered into the tag championship conversation. Because they are everything you said, Will. They're energetic, they're fun, they're funny, they're entertaining, they're electrifying. AEW's got to understand what they're sitting on here, because I think this is going to be one of the notable tag teams.
Yeah, the Dark Order is definitely picking up in their storylines, at least, or it seems more relevant that they have since they started out here. But we'll see. The next match up in the pre-show, no, actually, this ended up, it was going to be on the pre-show, and it ended up being the first match of the show. It's the Tooth and Nail match with Big Swole versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. This is basically taking place in Britt Baker's dentist office, or so they tell us that it was her dentist office. She has a couple of degrees hanging on the wall, and a lot of interference from Rebel in this one. Swole ended up defeating Britt Baker when she shoved a needle full of Novocaine into her leg and then put the gas mask on her. I think they were literally trying to murder each other in the match, I believe. And Swole ended up succeeding in that. Guys, this match was not for me. I'm just gonna say it. I did not like this, and I apologize. I like both of the ladies involved officially in the match, but this one did not have me. This started the show off rough for me.
Yeah, 100% with you. And it pains me to say, because I'm a huge fan of Big Swole and a huge fan of Britt Baker since her heel turn. I think she's been one of the shining spots on AEW since she turned heel. And this just, they're trying to keep the kind of cinematic element in there and trying to do something different. Obviously, it's different, but I definitely think it missed the mark. And I didn't realize, as you said, that it was supposed to be on the pre-show. If so, that might have made more sense. But I even so, I question it being the first match on the pay-per-view. I mean, you're not concerned at that point if people are watching it, they've already paid for it. So they're going to watch the whole thing. But I don't know. I just would have put it somewhere else as filler, not started the show off with it or even ended the buy-in with it if that was the original plan. So I don't know. I question that, but yeah, it didn't do anything for me. It didn't discredit either of those ladies in my eyes. Again, it just goes back to production and storytelling and booking and things like that. I want to see these two ladies in a match in the ring. I would have much rather seen that.
100%, man. This should have been a regular match because you're talking about two of the best women's wrestlers in the world. And I don't, and I think I speak for all of us here, I don't particularly favor a gimmick match like this. It seems way too contrived and I love Britt Baker. I think she is phenomenal, man. She's a great personality. I love her being a heel. And I don't even believe in heels. So, you know what I mean? So I would much rather have seen this. I don't mind this being the opening contest as long as it's in the ring. This would have been a great opening match under gentleman's rules, Big Swole got a win, but it was in this gimmick match. It doesn't really count. So she needs to get that win between the ropes.
Yeah, I would say that's the big factor of it. There was just a lot of gimmickry involved in this one, and it just didn't play out well. It just felt sloppy. Like it just, I don't know. Like if you're going to do a cinematic match, to me, I still think, arguably, I guess the best one that still ever happened is that AJ and Undertaker one. And there's been some attempts, but I don't know. It's just the more people try to do these kind of matches, I just don't feel like and this one tried to keep it at one, it didn't even feel pre-taped or anything necessarily. Like it felt like they were filming this thing live, and maybe they were, I don't know, but it just, I don't know. It could have used some cinematic magic, I think, somewhere in there. Sure. If you're gonna do it.
That Undertaker match you're referring to, that's right up there, man, with the main event, the Boneyard match at Talking Shop of Mania. I mean, you got to put that in the discussion for greatest cinematic matches.
Sure, there you go. So what we'll call the official opener of the show is actually going to be Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks. And now this match I thought was excellent. I actually really enjoyed this match myself. And I'd like to say that, well, we'll have a lot of things to say about this match. We'll get your thoughts first. What do you guys think of Jurassic Express and the Young Bucks?
I thought it was great. I love good tag team wrestling, as always. And there's a big story being told, with the Bucks and the Elite and Cody's absence from TV after losing his title. So there's like a tension in the air, anytime the Elite are on the screen, and there's obviously tension between Kenny and Hangman, which we'll get to, and that whole that whole deal. But the Bucks seem angry, they don't seem like they're having a ton of fun, and that's a cool story development for me. They seem like that they're out to prove something, which is different for them because they always kind of have had that. They've always had a chip on their shoulder, but they always kind of have that swagger about them. And now I feel like they're out to prove something. So it's kind of a different side of them that we haven't seen before.
Yeah,
that was 100%. Sorry, Rob. One of the things I wanted to point out is that I've never, I don't mean this as a knock, but I've just never cared anything necessarily for the Young Bucks. Like they've never been like that team for me at all. But ever since that gauntlet match, man, every match I see them in, I'm like, these guys are really good. Like I feel like they're good. And I know a lot of people will hate me for saying that. I know that's like a polarizing comment to make, but when they've added this aggression to their style, like it feels right. Like I feel like there's some other level of them now that I'm seeing. And even in this match, they kind of had the heel role in this going up against a perfect like babyface team, and like it doesn't like Jungle Boy's right up there like vying for like a top babyface position with like Tim Storm, like a guy that's just like uber likable, and like you just want to see him come out on top. And he's even got the like the size thing for him that it's just like you want to see him like come back, and Luchasaurus is just something special. I think he's a big man that moves like no big man should, and it's just weird. And I don't know that he'd get over or get away with it if he were anything else other than calling himself the Luchasaurus, but they let him do it. And anyway, I'm sorry, Rob, go ahead with your thoughts.
No, man. Everything you said, I think I like the Young Bucks. I think that's one of those things where every now and again, Gary, you know, there's a team or a personality that's very talented because their peers speak so highly of them. I never felt AJ Styles. I never felt Randy Orton. I've got my own personal criticisms, but I know that they're big time talents because guys like Nick Aldis sing their praises all the time regularly. So it's just a matter of fact, regardless, our opinion on this is irrelevant. The Bucks are an amazing talent. I never really felt them either. They're just too goody, but they can certainly move and do their business. Luchasaurus now, man, I like this guy, but I always he reminds me so much of Thomas Latimer. If I didn't know that it was Judas Devlin behind that mask, I would think that Latimer's actually putting a henna tattoos on his back and all that to deceive us, man. But because he's a big dude, man, and Latimer's a big guy. He's my favorite non-Scottish wrestler, and he, but he can move, man. I love Luchasaurus. I think I would like to see him in the singles picture if I didn't like Jungle Boy so much, and the chemistry between them is so good. I really like what I'm seeing. It's very entertaining. But Luchasaurus, man, I think is a guy that is a very agile, like unusually agile, freakishly agile for a big guy. Just got a good look, very smooth, and I like the Luchasaurus gimmick. I'd love to see him in the singles picture, man.
Yeah, I think that there's something there for him to do. I mean, and eventually, I mean, I guess I feel that way about Jungle Boy as well. So, yeah, somewhere down the line, that's bound to happen. Next up was the Casino Battle Royal. Let's see here. So I'll just look at this little report from Bleacher Report. So in Group 1, you had Trent, Ray Phoenix, Christopher Daniels, Jake Hager, and The Blade. Group 2, Big Will Hobbs, Santina, and Ortiz. Chuck Taylor and Frankie Kazarian. And then Group 3 was Billy Gunn, Pintel, Zero M, and Ricky Starks. Oh, and Brian Cage, both of Team Taz. And then Group 4, Sean Spears, Eddie Kingston, The Butcher, Sonny Kiss, and Lance Archer. And then, of course, the Joker belonged to our friend Matt Sydal, who came in. So a lot to unpack here. I thought this was actually a pretty fun battle royal myself. I had a lot of fun. There was some good stories going on in different parts throughout. You had like the Lance Archer, Brian Cage rivalry thing that was going on. Obviously the Ricky Starks, Darby Allin stuff. Eddie Kingston was in there being all manipulative. And all of that. Now, I mean, unfortunately, one of the things that's going to stand out is Matt Sydal's entrance. I don't know the exact specifics on this, but I think that it was really hot and humid there, and so that rope was probably wet. But he ended up taking a bump there, an unintentional bump. I mean, he slipped and fell off of the ropes when he tried to do his shooting star press, I believe. But anyway, wherever you guys want to go first with that.
Yeah, so Jay Cal and I talked about battle royals on the Friday hot tag this week. So if you want my full opinion on battle royals, go check that out. Short version is I'm not a huge fan of them, partly because the rules have been so muddied over time. There's different gimmicks involved. Obviously with the Casino Battle Royale, you've got 4 clusters of people that come out at different times. I'm just not a huge fan of the format. To not to be a Debbie Downer on the whole deal. I know it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to showcase and to debut people like Matt Sydal, but it falls flat for me unless it's like really spectacular. And so this just did fall flat for me. There was not really any points that I got super excited. And then when Lance Archer won, it's kind of like, yeah, duh, like he's huge. He's the Murder Hawk. Like, of course he won. And it's like, now he gets another title shot. So even just the outcome wasn't really, it was kind of underwhelming for me, and nothing against Lance Archer. And I think him and John Moxley will put on a hell of a match, a title match. But yeah, just overall, it was just flat.
Yeah, and Will and I are agreeing a lot right now so that we can disagree very passionately later in the show. But I have to agree with Will, man. He's spot on. I like Lance Archer. I think he's like he's like Karrion Kross, man. He's just this devastating machine that's just laying waste. And obviously Moxley's in his crosshairs and all that. But I guess I was disappointed because they were teasing Eddie Kingston there, and I was starting to think that Eddie Kingston was going to win this. I was getting really, really excited. And no shade on Lance Archer, he's doing, but that's Eddie Kingston's my boy, man. And so I was so like let down by that really covered color. And like Will said, I don't like these kinds of matches anyway. They cut against my nature and what I think about what this stage should be and what it should establish. And I don't think anybody really gained anything from this. Lance Archer, your opinion of Lance Archer didn't change after this match.
No.
We already knew who he was. So it did, like, if you're going to do this kind of match, it needs to be set up to put a spin on a story or to throw a twist in there or something. We didn't learn anything new from this that we didn't already know, other than the fact that Eddie Kingston can go. But those of us in the NWA fam, we already knew that. So maybe the national audience didn't, but so that's a plus. But we already knew everything that they were trying to explain in that. So.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the advantages, if you are going to list the advantages of a battle royal, is it's a chance for an underdog to get a shot, right? Yep. But I wouldn't consider Lance Archer an underdog. That's a scary dude. He's got the street cred and the reputation to have a title match. That doesn't seem like a long shot for me. So it would have been more entertaining for an Eddie Kingston or a Ricky Starks or somebody to come out on top that, hey, now they're getting a title shot where they might not have gotten one before. That's a chance to do that. So to have that and then just give someone a title shot that like probably could have got one on their own merit and their own toughness, it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, the thing, I don't think I'm as hard on the Lance Archer decision as you guys are, but I can see your points. And a lot of people were in the chat were saying that, it kind of gave away the main event for them, feeling like Jon Moxley had to retain with Lance Archer winning the Battle Royal. That's a risky run, I think, anytime with something like that. But when you're giving somebody a title shot out of it, like even with the Royal Rumble, maybe. But it just, it's an interesting concept.
I mean, so why aren't you harder on it? Because like what you're saying is like we were all thinking that. Like this totally was a spoiler match. So, come down hard, bro. Don't sugar it.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, I really didn't, it didn't bother me. Like I honestly didn't go into this pay-per-view expecting MJF to win. Like I thought that he would get this far and that he was undefeated and that was fine. But I just didn't see MJF. It's like, look, I love MJF. I'm not putting anything against him. I think he's a great heel. He's doing a good job, all of that. I still feel like I can't picture him as the guy yet. And so I just didn't expect it. So I wasn't even thinking of it that way when I was watching the show, to be honest with you. I wasn't even thinking about it. And I also think that in my mind, Lance Archer walks a line and he's been he'll beat up whoever gets in his way. And so I feel like there could be programs with him. Like you could picture, like, even if it was MJF, like MJF using Wardlow to protect him from Lance Archer and like this sort of stuff. So I don't know. I guess it didn't faze me either way. I also look at Lance Archer as you want him to be a big deal. They obviously brought him in as a big deal. And almost the same with like Brody Lee, where it's like, okay, if he keeps losing, Brody Lee came in and got the match with Mox immediately and then lost. And then it's like, all right, well, if you don't want him to lose anything, then he has to pick up steam again, which they did. They had him pick up steam and he ended up going on to beat Cody Rhodes for the TNT title. I feel sort of similarly about Lance Archer, where he has plowed his way through the roster and then got the match with Cody Rhodes and then lost to Cody in an epic match. And then it's like, okay, well, he got to the spot, had a big loss, and now he's got to start over. And they did the right thing, I think, by him, is that he immediately just went back to just beating up dudes again. But it's like, he also has to win a big one every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? And so, and they were especially building up to this Brian Cage and Lance Archer thing. And then I'm like, wow, who are you going to use there? Because now Brian Cage has technically lost to Mox and Lance Archer's lost to Mox. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to, when I was thinking about it, I was trying to think of it outside of like, okay, how would you play this out? And it just, I don't know. It felt okay to me that Lance Archer finally won a big match.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's so many things to unpack in what you said, many of which I agree with, and I don't see Lance Archer as when I think about who other than Moxley would hold the belt. Like who do I look at as like world championship material? I think of Jericho, obviously. I think of Brody Lee, and I think of MJF. Like I think MJF is ready today. I don't like him. I've been critical on this show. You know that. So I'm not selling anything that's like, I mean, I think MJF is ready today. And the streak, man, it's like when you're dealing with a streak, if you're going to drop the streak, it better be freaking like really big. So I had in the back of my mind, I thought maybe MJF was going to win this match tonight. I mean, when it went into the booking and the story writing, I thought there was a chance. It was a slim chance, but I thought there was a chance that MJF was going to walk out with the title. But I felt like the Archer thing totally spilt the beans. You know what I mean? So that's where my disappointment came from. And I don't see Archer I see him as a big guy doing wreaking a lot of havoc. But I don't see him. If Archer got the belt, it would be a very WWE-esque move.
Yeah, I guess at the end of and we're going to talk about more of this too, because I could use that same logic with somebody else coming up here too. But yeah, I don't know that I see Lance beating Mox for the title. So you might ask yourself, why do it then? And I see somebody in the chat, I'm stealing, so I want to be fair to Ronald Justin in the chat. He's asking the same question about Orange Cassidy, but we'll get to him in a second. So
because you think to your point, Gary, you were saying, Brody Lee absolutely devastated Cody, who Archer lost to, and so it'd be different if it were like a heated match, but the Brody Lee match was so decisive. It was like when the Road Warriors beat the Midnight Express in like 2 minutes for the belts. It's like, this is right here. This is establishing the fact that these guys are in a different league, even than a team as great as the Midnight Express. Brody Lee is the real deal. He's the real deal. He is the once and future. I mean, he is going to be the world champion at some point. I don't get that sense from Lance Archer at all. I mean, no shade on him. I think he's fun. I think he serves a purpose as a devastating guy, like a Cage and all that. But I don't see just the way that they've got to do a lot of reinventing and re-scripting if they're going to bring him into the picture. So I just felt like that, to me, it didn't resonate with me.
So who do you who would you have had win? Like who would you guys have
Eddie Kingston,
made more sense?
Eddie Kingston or Ricky Starks. I think in a match like that, you use that match.
Okay, well that feels obvious for our show. But
This is
well,
the
to me,
NWA
that's the
podcast.
obvious answer. That's the obvious answer. Now, Eddie Kingston, why?
If there was any way for Nick Aldis to win, that's what Rob would.
Yeah, Aldis did.
I would have taken
Thunder
Nick
Rosa.
Aldis winning that.
Thunder Rosa
and then defeating
won that
John
match.
Moxley.
I mean, Eddie Kingston was in it. Did you not get a sense that, holy cow, Eddie Kingston's about to win this?
I did. I was super excited. I thought it would be badass if Eddie Kingston strolled into AEW and got immediately shoved into the main event picture. Also, by the way, I could see that playing out. I feel like that's an easy story to tell, especially now that he is heading up a group here, like a little faction. I mean, it feels like you could really do something with that, with him chasing Mox for the title.
Yeah, and he's doing the little wing thing, like he's clearly self-interested here.
You want to put over his brains, then he walks in and he devises a plan immediately to get to the top. So yeah, I could buy that.
To your point, Gary, and to your question of who would you like to win, I think that's the overall indictment on this battle royal. As I'm sitting there watching it, and there's not anybody that I was like, ooh, I would love for them to win. I would love to see them get a title shot. And that's just they just haven't. AEW is growing and evolving, and we talk about it a lot, but there's just not a big title picture, right? I mean, even whoever ends up there, it's usually a surprise, and they'll do a great job booking it. But like outside of that, there's not really anybody that you're like, okay, I can't wait for this. I can't wait. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting there looking at the Battle Royal, and there wasn't a clear favorite. And to me, that kind of deflated the whole situation. So, I mean, that's one aspect. The other aspect of it, when we talk about the title, and I guess we'll get into this later, but I just assumed it was a foregone conclusion MJF wouldn't win, because I just personally don't think that they're going to change the world title until they have a crowd to pop for it, not with Moxley carrying the title. I think he's going to carry it for a long time. So that's what worries me too about Lance Archer. I mean, is he going to come in there again and lose to Mox? Like, what's that going to do for his story arc? And then they are definitely going to have to reinvent him at that point, you know, because he's a guy that's come in and he's lost to Cody in a big match, and he's lost to John Moxley in a big match.
Maybe they just feel like if he gets all the way to the top, then that's an okay match to lose or something.
I guess, but from a booking standpoint, it feels a little bit like backing yourself into a corner with this guy.
Yeah. I always felt like the TNT belt was better placed on Archer, and the World's Championship better placed on Brody Lee. You know, but that's just an opinion.
But I'm with Will too. I think, dude, the problem with all of this, for a lot of it at least, for me, is crowds. Like, crowds still add so much more. And I'll be honest, another criticism I could lob towards AEW, and I mean this with love, is that I feel like now that they've let fans in, the wrestlers along the ringside are not as loud and rambunctious as they once were. And maybe they're counting on the crowd noise. And I've heard that maybe the crowd noise is loud in the building, but it does not come across as well on television, I don't think. Like, I feel like I would heavily mic those people, because I don't know. A lot of these matches, I really wish I could have, like, God help me, I felt like Thunder Rosa and Sheeta would have just had the people. And, you know, and maybe I'd have felt differently about FTR and stuff. And these are all matches we still got to get to, but I just felt like, I wonder how much difference it would make if, like, a lot of these matches had appeared in front of a hot crowd instead. So anyway, that's besides the point. Whatever. Lance Archer rules. You guys suck.
He does rule. Lance Archer.
Wow.
We didn't learn anything new about Lance Archer that we didn't already know. You're absolutely right. He's awesome. I love him, man. But, you know, you get more out of putting over an Eddie Kingston or a Ricky Starks than putting Lance Archer over in a match like that. Plus, the other thing is, like, in a match like that, why isn't everybody ganging up on the big guy? You know, get him out. That's what you would do, right? That's what I would do.
Two very big guys in this.
Well,
actually,
Eddie
three, technically, if you count Hager.
To your point, Kingston rallied his guys, and they did try to get Lance Archer out at one point, but that was the only time that they did that.
And imagine so that we don't ignore it. A lot of people in the chat are saying this. I've seen this talked about online. Apparently, Eddie Kingston did not ever go over the top rope, so a lot of people are shouting Eddie got screwed.
Screwed, yeah. Imagine a bearded trio battle royal, man, when the two little guys, me and Gary, who's only 4 foot, teamed up on the big guy wheel.
Nice. I'm the Lance Archer.
Yeah. There you go.
Hey, my son's middle name is Archer, by the way. So a little biased.
I may be 4'9". I'm short, but I'm very girthy, like a lot of things on me.
That's true. I can confirm.
Oh man. Okay, let's move on. So next up on AEW All Out was the controversial matchup between what I would argue probably overshadowed most of what happened on the show at a certain point, was the Broken Rules match, Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara. It obviously did not live up to what anybody expected, because the match, I mean, it started off fine enough with Guevara chasing Matt Hardy with a golf cart, but the long and short of it is that they went on to a scissor lift and got up top, and I think it was Guevara was even like spearing Matt Hardy off of the scissor lift, and they had two tables side by side down below it, but completely missed the first one and pretty much missed the second one as well. And Matt Hardy cracked the back of that head on the concrete. And I mean, I don't think anybody even realized how bad it was at first, because even I think the cameras kept showing it too. They were like, oh, holy crap, you know, but it wasn't until like Aubrey's like throwing up the X and stuff. I mean, I feel like she felt like something was going on. And I was like, I don't know. When I was watching it, I was kind of, man, Matt's really selling this. Like, he is not moving. And turns out he, just really knocked himself cold there for a minute. And anyway, somehow the match still, they called it, but Doc Sampson okayed everything a few minutes later, and they still went and climbed up a tower, and Matt Hardy tossed Sammy Guevara down into some stuff below and technically won the match. And I get it, if Matt would have lost, then he was supposed to leave AEW, so I guess they were trying to salvage that. But this gets into the murky territory, or not even murky, man. If a dude knocks himself cold in the middle of a match, especially with what we know these days about everything with head trauma and concussions and everything else, this match should have just been nixed, I would say. But what say you guys on Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara?
Well, a lot of it's going to be personal preference. I don't really just love and get excited about these like high dangerous spots. I just don't. As a wrestling fan and as an NWA fan, I like it when guys get in the ring between the ropes, gentleman's rules, as Rob likes to always refer to, and they duke it out. We like prize fights. That's what we talk about on here. So this isn't just not my cup of tea at all to begin with. But then I just felt like that spot was just so unnecessary. It was so unnecessarily dangerous. You got a guy like Matt Hardy who, he can still go, but he's got more days in his rear view of his wrestling career than he does in front of him. And so why be that irresponsible, And it's partly on Matt, because I know he wants to go out there and I know he wants to wow people. I know that. He's a competitor and he wants to do that kind of stuff. But it's also on AEW for not seeing that spot. I mean, if you fall off of a lift and hit the back of your head on concrete, like they didn't even have pads or mats or a couple of other tables, behind it to cushion the blow. I mean, he just smacked his head on the concrete, and that was obvious the way he was acting after that. And then again, it just left this like bad taste in my mouth for the whole rest of the pay-per-view. And they kept referencing it, Tony kept mentioning it, and the commentary and things like that. And it's just like, I just kept seeing that in my mind and going, oh gosh, like, I hope he's okay. How much of this is a work and how much of it is true, and then you got all the stuff going on Twitter with his wife sharing stuff. And, it's just one of those things. It's the gray area for professional wrestling where it's like, you want the believability, but at the same time, like, there's a line, right? And you don't really want to see these guys like get paralyzed or have concussions and have their life cut short, and so it just, I don't know, left a bad taste in my mouth. It was weird from there on out for me.
Rob, as a throwing to you here in a second, I just wanted to add in too, like Will said, Rebby Hardy was very vocal about this on Twitter and being very disappointed and upset. Well, actually, very disappointed is downplaying how she was about this. She was pretty pissed off, is an easier way of saying it. Tony Khan apparently did start the post-media scrum for AEW All Out with addressing the Matt Hardy situation. He said that first and foremost, health and safety of the performers is always the most important thing to AEW, and he noted that it looks like Matt will be okay. He then explained that he stopped the match after the spot gone wrong. Then he sent the doctor to check on Matt since he was concerned Hardy might be hurt. Tony says he had them ring the bell to pause the match. The doctor checked on Matt, though, and deemed him fit to continue under protocol. Khan also said the doctor was not pressured by anybody into clearing Matt and said Hardy himself would not have the ability to overturn a decision made by the doctor. Tony also claimed Matt Hardy passed concussion protocol after coming to the back and that the trip to the hospital was done as a precaution. It was not something any of us enjoyed, he added. It was something that was a very scary moment. As a doctor yourself, Rob, do you feel like do you feel like Matt Hardy could have been cleared there, or what are your overall thoughts of this whole situation and how it was handled?
I think this is the very reason why we get on here week after week and criticize the WWE. A match of this type, by the way, has no place in the business. If that's what you're into, that's great, but it's not pro wrestling. It's not combat simulated sports under gentlemen's rules, as Will just said. All it does is get people hurt. It doesn't really further the story any more than just a regular match would. I mean, just have a regular match and do the same thing and tell a story the way that we want the story to be told and not put people's careers in jeopardy. It's just dumb to me. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, Matt Hardy doesn't have the right to overrule a doctor's decision. I get it. But I promise you, Matt Hardy was there pleading with that doctor, let this match continue. I promise you that's what happened. He was like, it can't end this way. Let it continue. I'm okay. That bears influence. I mean, I'm telling you, this was dumb. I hated it. I didn't like anything about it.
I'll tell you what, too. It's the second move. We didn't even mention it, and I meant to in the Battle Royal situation before. The matchup where Darby Allin was put inside the body bag and got power bombed by Brian Cage. That was also a pretty scary spot because I don't know how you know even what the hell is going on when you're inside of a body bag getting power bombed somewhere. You know, I feel like it's pretty important that you have some clarity on where you're at in that move. And Darby Allin clearly didn't. I don't know. Maybe that wasn't scary for everybody, but it looked like he got jacked up there too. And maybe I love fun wrestling violence as much as the next guy, but it feels like they got to pull back sometimes.
Yeah, it just seems like they're overdoing it a little bit with that stuff. I mean, I have a lot of visuals from watching AEW over the past year of these backstage high spots, dangerous stuff, smashing through glass. And I know it's gimmick glass or whatever, but like that stuff is good. But I'm more of a proponent of that being used as like a shock factor, not an every week or every pay-per-view type thing, you know? And it seems like that's the direction they're going. And if that's the case, like, I'm not into that. So there may, and again, you know, like we've said, there may be people that are, and that's fine, but just know that if that's what you like, then you like something that's like putting guys' careers in jeopardy and that's putting people at risk, people who have wives and children and husbands and children. And like, it's, you know, it's the great debate. I mean, we've been having this debate since, you know, death match wrestling and all this stuff, you know, has come out in the past couple of decades. And like, it's just one of those things. And I think it'll continue to be a debate, but I think for AEW's sake, it would be in their best interest to tone it down a little bit. And maybe this, I hate that it happened, but maybe this was a wake-up call of sorts for them to say, okay, maybe we should back off of these, you know, really dangerous spots just to get a shock and all reaction, and let's keep it a little more pro wrestling.
And I think by the nature of the case, the way that the AEW was founded and the way it started, it was founded under premises of, hey, this is going to be wrestling like you used to know, like you used to love. I mean, is there even a place for it? I mean, the WWE is a different animal, and I get it. I understand that it's different strokes for different folks, and that people go to the WWE because of some of that cinematic stuff and the gimmicks, but that's not, I mean, I think by and large, AEW puts out a great product by and large. I mean, I'm more pleased than disappointed with what they do. I just feel like disappointed that we have to resort to these kind of tactics, you know?
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, that's my point too. And I mean, we obviously come from the perspective of history, legacy, and tradition, and we didn't see that happen to Ric Flair. You know what I mean? Like but they were able to capture that same shock and awe. They could have moments. You can have moments in the ring that have that same kind of shock and awe factor without putting guys' lives in jeopardy. You know what I mean? And now these guys are professionals, and it's a dangerous sport, but so their lives are kind of always in danger, and it's important that they be highly trained. But a spot like that is just, you're in danger no matter how. You can't train for a spot like that. You can't train for having your head hit the concrete. You know what I mean? And that's right. Where I draw the line. And
you know, throw in a gimmick. I mean, throw in a steel cage, throw in lumberjacks. You know, if you're just persistent on adding a twist to the story that gives someone the edge or takes an edge away, or is going to add a different twist, do it. But do it in the ring, you know, under rules and circumstances that we can recognize and decipher. That's all I'm saying.
Is that all you're saying, Rob?
I have a feeling that's not all you're going to say, but thanks.
All right. Well, we would be remiss if we didn't move on to the very next matchup, which was Thunder Rosa versus Hikaru Shida, champion versus champion for the AEW Women's Championship. This was just a brawl. This was a fight, a prize fight, if you will. And let's see. According to Bleacher Report, they just they started off here. Rosa launched herself off a steel chair with a big knee to the face, taking a page out of the book of her opponent before working over Shida's battered body by stretching her around the ring post. Building confidence, she talked trash and delivered a double leg drop to the back. Or a double leg drop. Sorry, I'm not good at reading. Shida attempted to fight her way back into the match with the stretch muffler, but Rosa countered out. Shida delivered a jumping knee, followed by a brainbuster for 2. The fight continued with Rosa gaining the upper hand. Shida fought her off with a big superplex, followed by a Meteora on the entrance ramp. Back in the ring, the competitors exchanged strikes before Shida delivered her trademark Falcon Arrow, and Rosa kicked out, stunning Shida. The AEW champion applied the stretch muffler, but Rosa reached the bottom rope to force the break. Shida continued her fight and put Rosa away, finally with a running knee to earn the victory. Guys, I loved this match. I was super impressed. Even more so impressed. I mean, there are some people that are going to be angry no matter what we say here. There are going to be people that disagree with us. There are going to be people that are already mad that Thunder Rosa was there in the first place. There are going to be people especially mad that Thunder Rosa did not come out of this match on top. But I don't know what else obviously people would have loved to have seen Thunder Rosa win this, and then that would have carried on. But Thunder Rosa she's a contracted NWA star. So this has to make business sense. So eventually Thunder Rosa was going to have to, she's doing work to help the company here is what I'm trying to say. And the only other way you could have gotten out of this, I think, was with some kind of scrum there at the end. Nia Jax interferes or something like that. There's a double DQ or a double count out or whatever. And maybe that could have worked. But honestly, I was kind of expecting something like that. I was kind of thinking they're going to do that. And part of me really just wanted a winner. Like that, I feel like that people rely too much on crap like that, basically. And so even though it was not who I would have picked, I was happy that the match came to a conclusion. There was a solid victory in this matchup, no interference, straight one-on-one, a great fight. And Thunder Rosa did not look bad at all. In fact, she looked amazing, tough, dominant, all of the words. I don't think you could have looked any better in this. And like Rob said, if you're just joining us now, you missed out. We had the woman herself, Thunder Rosa, on the show. And Rob, I think there even said, that she that there's no such thing, or there's good losses and bad losses, I think is the way you put it, Rob. But this one, I think you would classify as a good loss.
Right. This is the Georgia Bulldogs losing to the Alabama Crimson Tide by 3 in overtime in the national championship. This is a match that could have gone either way, and both stars, they enhanced each other. You're looking at 2 of the best in the world. And we knew that. We knew that going into it was going to be like that. But I'm with you, Gary. I'm so happy that it was clean, that we had a decisive win. Now, granted, this was on AEW home soil. The match might end differently if it's in Thunder Rosa's court, and maybe we'll see that. Thunder Rosa seemed to leave the possibility open.
Hey, AEW's left the possibility open, Will. Yep. They've said that they seem to be teasing it today. Like, Thunder Rosa, Hikaru Shida too.
Yeah, and they were teasing it. They were teasing it in terms of rewatching the pay-per-view, but it still put the idea out there. So we'll see what happens. As far as this match, hands down, my favorite match of the show. Obviously, I'm biased, but and a little interesting take. I think all 3 of us agree. It sounds like and it's a strange take from an NWA podcast that we wouldn't come on here and rant and rave over the fact that, Thunder was robbed and should have won the match. Obviously, we think she should have won the match and could have won the match. But I agree with you guys in the sense that I'm glad there was a finish. We had speculated a little bit about a screwy finish, and a lot of that is our WWE brainwashed cynicism that it's like, oh, the only way that somebody doesn't get buried is that somebody interferes, and that's the only way to make, because WWE, that's their lazy storytelling. That's what they do. And AEW has proven that at least they're above that, and you can have a finish and still have everyone come out looking strong. And I told you guys this in our Discord chat. If you're not in our Discord, you want to join. It's a lot of fun, especially during these pay-per-views, to have good chats with the hashtag NWA fan while this stuff is going on and getting opinions. But I made my wife sit down and watch the match with me, and she's not a wrestling fan. She's a Thunder Rosa fan. Just likes her as a person, likes what she does, but she's not a wrestling fan. She has no concept of booking and creative and all this, the business side of stuff. And she just watched the match, and it was really interesting to get her take, because she was like, this is a one-sided match. Like, Thunder's going to kill her. And I'm sitting there in the back of my mind going, oh yeah, if you knew how the business worked, you would know that this is probably, and when the match was over and Sheeta won it, she was just like, huh? How, and to me, that's a knock on the authenticity that we always talk about. So my one criticism of this match, and trying to be as non-biased as I can, is the fact that Thunder Rosa was clearly the better woman in this match for the entire match, for 99.9% of the match, until the finish. And the finish was a little bit underwhelming. So while I am glad there was a finish, it was not convincing to me or to my wife, like I said, who is not a wrestling fan, who was just watching it like two women going at it. And so that to me is the only black mark against it. And that's not a mark against either woman. That's just a mark against the fact that, as we've said, the AEW women's division has nobody in it the caliber of Thunder Rosa. And she's not going to come out there and dumb down her talent and her ability to make anyone else look good. Like she said, and she just told us a few minutes ago here live on the show, she came there to put everybody else on watch and show them, hey, this is how you do it. And that's what she did. Her strikes were clean. They were believable. As we found out a few minutes ago, her mini Superman punch, she actually punched Sheeta, and Sheeta liked it. Like that's real authentic wrestling right there. That's what you want. And I mean, the match, I can't sing the praises of the match in general enough. But those were my only kind of little nitpicky criticisms.
Right. But I mean, and I hear what you're saying, but I'm thinking like, going back to the analogy I made a minute ago between Georgia and Alabama, that particular game I'm referencing, I think this was 2016. I may be off, but the Georgia Bulldogs led that whole game. They were only behind for the last minute of the game, the time that it counted. And that's what happens in you look at Thunder Rosa and Hikaru Shida. If they wrestle 10 times, you see one winning 5 and the other winning 5. The margin of difference between the two is so subtle at that level of eliteness that it's not unbelievable to me that Thunder Rosa is dominating the match and Shida is studying this whole time and finally finds a way to escape with a win, And next time maybe it's different. If Hikaru Shida is on NWA territory, wrestling with the energy and knowing that the cards are stacked against her, or that she's on hostile territory, maybe she dominates, and then Thunder Rosa manages to exploit that mistake and come away with a win. I felt like the fact that Thunder Rosa dominated the match, like you said she did, and she did definitely do that. It made it more believable for me. I was like, this is like we're living 2016 all over again.
It felt like she squeaked one out to me is the thing, but sorry to jump in there a little bit. I mean, the big thing that I would say is the same thing I said to her, and that was the God's honest truth, that I was listening to podcasts and reading recaps, and I just wanted to see what the world thought of that match. And one of my bigger takeaways from the whole thing is literally right before we came on the air, I was listening to the Observer Radio, right? So I'm listening to Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer talk about this, and they were not the first to do this, but even them, they were like, yeah, this show had some ups and downs, and there was some good stuff. Like Mox and MJF was good. The Thunder Rosa match was good. that they would go on and when they got to the Thunder Rosa match, they're like, all right, well, let's talk about the Thunder Rosa match. Like, I'm like, these people are all calling it the Thunder Rosa match, right? It's not the Thunder versus Sheeta match. They're calling it the Thunder Rosa match. So that already tells you that part of the work is done. And then, I mean, even those guys, right before I jumped on here, when I was listening to them, were talking about like, yeah, this was good. I've heard a lot of people praise it. They should. It's a good match. The only thing I would say is, like, well, Thunder Rosa looked great, and now she's gone. And so now what do you do? And I think that's the question a lot of people just in general have is like, okay, both women look great. I mean, but Thunder Rosa came in and looked dominant, looked like a badass, and looked like a legit awesome women's wrestler. But she's not an AEW women's wrestler. And she's even made that very clear. She was wearing the NWA logo on her clothes. So, that's not to take away from anybody. It's just like, it's AEW's working to build that thing up, but it's like right now Sheeta doesn't have a lot of places to go. I don't think.
Right. And go ahead, Will. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to argue with you some more, but we got a whole hour and more topics to argue about. But yeah, you made a fair point, and yeah, we can move on from that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think say what you want about the AEW. I see a lot of criticism of AEW in the chat, and that's fine. This is a free forum, but whatever we can take away from this, we can certainly take away that the AEW has a willingness to work with the NWA. They're willing to do it, which is more than you can say for just about anybody, definitely the WWE, So whatever critique you have of them, they have signaled, hey, we recognize a good thing. We're willing to talk turkey and put on a grand prize fight on the biggest stage of them all. And so I'm not like, I think it's going to happen again, man. I think you're going to see a sequel to this, and which leads us to, do you see another Cody Nick Aldis match? I mean, I think all those possibilities are out there, and Thunder Rosa and Sheeta did that for us.
Well, I think exactly doing something like this is, again, something I said at the top of the show, but it's a goodwill gesture that this match happened and that the outcome was what it was. I think that that's a step. That's a step in the right direction, that somebody's willing to put ego aside and let these ladies just have a good match and let's get a solid winner and let's build from there. I mean, it already immediately, aside from just the Sheeta thing, we brought it up to Thunder Rosa as well. I mean, Allison Kay was already on top of this. So you've got immediately the spark back in that rivalry. So, I mean, it's not like, I mean, like, who was it we were talking about? Wasn't it Aldis saying, like, sometimes losing isn't so bad, but I always want to know, like, what's after that? Like, like what's the story that you're going to tell? So already Thunder, even losing this match, there are paths to go down. Like, this is not the end for Thunder Rosa, and there's plenty of direction to go in with her as the NWA Women's Champion.
Yep, true. And I mean, that's the big question, and that's the one. Again, the other downside to this is exposing that gap in the women's division, where the same way that I looked at the Battle Royal and was like, I don't really know who I would want to have a title shot, I feel the same way about the women's division. Okay, if the Thunder Rosa thing is one and done and we're not going to see a Sheeta Thunder 2, who's next, and who would I be excited about? Who would I be that excited about? And that's kind of the big question mark here. We'll have to see where they go.
It seems like Thunder Rosa has many more paths than Sheeta does. Like, Thunder Rosa's got Allison Kay in front of her. She's got Camille. She's got Lindsay Snow. When you're Cara Sheeta and you're in a promotion with a fixed roster, unless they're doing some goodwill type events like that, you're very, very limited. And I'm not going to get on here and beat up on the women's division, but let's be honest. There's a big difference between a Penelope Ford and a Thunder Rosa. A big difference. There's a big difference between a Penelope Ford and a Lindsay Snow. So, it seems like advantage to Thunder Rosa right now.
Gary, you're on mute, buddy.
On mute, right?
Sorry. Sometimes I just talk and don't actually say words. All right, so then we'll move on to the. We've spent a lot of time on Thunder Rosa versus Sheeta, as it should be, because this is the NWA. Matt Cardona, Scorpio Sky, and QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes versus the Dark Order. That thing happens. So it's Natural Nightmares, Scorpio Sky, and Matt Cardona. That's the way I should have said it. I'll skip right to the end. Cardona, Sky, Marshall, and Rhodes defeated the Dark Order. That's the way that went down. It was a weird situation, like a little bit of a miscommunication that Colt Cabana kind of effed things up for the Dark Order. And there it was. I felt like it went a little longer than it needed to, but overall pretty fun. And you got to see some sparks for some people. Like QT Marshall's fun when he gets going. Scorpio Sky is a goddamn masterpiece in the ring. I love that guy. Like, he is just fantastic. I think I tweeted that out. Like, when there was a point in there I was like, this guy, we were, I think, what was it, last week we saw the news where he was talking about he kind of did wish he had a bigger role. I was watching him in this match and I was like, yeah, give that guy a big role. Like, he's earned it. He's really, really good. But Brody Lee still leaves this one leaving dominant. And Dustin Rhodes, my God, that guy. He is what's he have on his little shirt there now? It's like new it's like 5 decades or something like that. And that freaking guy is so dang good. Like, he is built into, everybody talks about Cody right now, but Dustin Rhodes is the man. And that promo he cut at the end, acknowledging he's going to face Brody Lee for the TNT title on Dynamite. That was like a highlight of the show for me. Like, that guy's just brilliant.
It felt real. It felt genuine. It felt like that really was the first moment he was finding out that he was getting a title match. You could see it in his eyes and his comment. It's been a lot of years since I've been in a title match. An opportunity to put gold around my waist. Again, a call back to a lot of wasted time in other promotions, and the fact that he is now really being spotlighted more in AEW, and he can still go. Like, there's no doubt that he can still go. And I'm pretty excited about that match. Those two guys, that's two big dudes. I mean, Dustin Rhodes is a big guy, and him standing up against Brody Lee, that's going to be a good visual. I think it's going to be a great match. And I loved, the promo stole the show for me. But I do think the match was good. And I think there was some good storytelling in that match, and especially at the end with Colt Cabana and Dark Order and whatever story that they're trying to unfold there, I think was furthered. So all in all, it was decent.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the Dustin comments, man, that was kind of like the emotional high point of the show. You're sitting there, and as men, we don't want to sit there and talk about getting choked up and getting emotional, but gosh, man, what words from Dustin Rhodes, it's fantastic. But next to the Thunder Rosa match, this is probably the highlight of the show for me.
I tell you what, boys, I watched this, and we talk about all day long about fun opponents for a Nick Aldis or something like that, but
right?
I'd pay some money to watch Dustin and Nick go at it. Like, I just feel like that would be a badass battle, those two. Yep. Like, they would tell some believable stories together. I think
every time Dustin Rhodes is in the ring, that's my overwhelming takeaway. Is like, man, this guy can tell a story in the ring, because he comes from that time period. He started in the time period where that's how you did wrestling. You told a story in the ring. And I grew up with Dustin Rhodes when he was, obviously much younger, but like, that was one of the things that he did and can still do. And it's underappreciated and undervalued, I think, today. And I hadn't even thought about that till you just said it, Gary, but I would love to see Nick Aldis versus Dustin Rhodes, especially for that belt. It would have the same weight as a Cody Aldis, because, Dustin's Dusty's son as well. There's that historical tie-in. So, man, hey, make it happen, guys, whoever's watching this.
Can you imagine the 10 pounds of gold stuff you could get out of a Dustin Rhodes, like that journey, just the sit downs you could have with the Dustin Rhodes?
Hopefully the producers at the NWA are watching this and heard what we just booked, because I think that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Make it happen.
Yeah,
we could have it. Well, just hire us, guys. We'll do it. It's fine. All right, next up was the big tag team match that everybody's been waiting for. It's like one of the tag team matches everybody's been waiting for. It's FTR versus Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, and FTR ends up coming out on top out of this one with the big win. They're the new tag team champions. A lot of disgruntled Kenny Omega stuff. He doesn't help up Hangman. There's a lot going wrong in this storyline for me, and I love FTR, and I mean, you know, I actually really love Hangman too. I think he's great. Kenny Omega, I'm learning, and it's just it's one of those things that, like, I don't know. A lot of people dug this match, so I won't sit here and try to disparage it. And again, I'm no expert, but it felt way too long to me. It felt like just like this should have been like a 20-minute match, and it really was like 30, and it felt like 40, and there was something I never got into it. So where are you guys at on this thing?
Yeah, it's tough for me because this was in terms of matches I was looking forward to, this was number 2 on the list because I love tag team wrestling, as I always say, and FTR, you know, they're the second coming of the tag team wrestling that I grew up loving. And so I love them, and I loved, you know, their rise to the top. I love their partnering with Tully, even though it kind of came out of left field and there wasn't a lot of explanation. I love that throwback, but yeah, I mean, I'm like you, Gary. Nothing really gripped me. It did feel a little too long, and it felt a little, I don't want to say lackluster, because I mean, all 4 of the guys in this match are top notch, and so you don't want to disrespect them by saying that, but at the same time, like, I had higher hopes, I guess, than what was delivered, and that's a testament really to these guys, because they bring higher hopes with them, because I have visuals and I have seen all these guys do amazing things and tell great stories. And, you know, I know they can't all be hits, but in a situation like this where the belts are on the line, I wanted a little more. And I don't have details as to what that would look like or fantasy booking or anything like that. I guess I was just underwhelmed a little bit, and that sucks, but
well,
lay it on me, Rob. I saw you shaking your head the whole time. Lay it on me, brother.
but you're my idiots. I love this match. It went 29-40. To me, it didn't feel like it went a second over 29-30. You know what I mean? This match was freaking fantastic. You talk about a prize fight tag team match with FTR, one of my favorite tag teams right now. Tully Blanchard back in the world championship picture. What are y'all, nuts? This match was amazing.
I want to be clear that I'm not knocking either team.
No,
like, I think
heard
both teams are great, and especially FTR. And they need the tag team titles on FTR. I think FTR should be the tag team titles or tag team champions, and should be for a while. And they should run the gamut of dominating the tag team division and showing what tag team wrestling is all about. All of that out of the way, I'm just saying, I had expectations for this match, and it didn't meet them.
Let me stop you right there, Gary. You cannot blame your short attention span on FTR and Kenny Omega and Adam Page, okay? The fact that they went half an hour and told an amazing story, you should be freaking giving them a standing ovation. This was a fantastic match. I don't know what world you're living in, but I still love you. I'm about to call you.
Well, good. He still loves us. That's good.
I'm calling you right now, Gary.
I don't know what else to tell you, man. I can only tell you how I felt about it. I think it was the right decision and all of that. I also don't know what's going on with Hangman. Like, I kind of hate that story. Like I thought Hangman was in a situation where somebody had something on him or something, and maybe it still plays that way. But did he really just let FTR just like trick him into betraying his supposed best friends?
Yeah, and
keep them out of a match. I'm like, that's not what a hot a guy who looked like he was on his way to being like their first like super hot babyface top star, and then he's like a goof, like the kid's fooled by FTR. I dislike that, and I can't back down from that one.
Yeah,
well, I think that's. Go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, say super hot babyface again, Gary. I like that. Second, I had the expectation, if I'm being totally honest, that we were going to see a clear blow off of this either Kenny Omega heel turn or the Bucks you know, and Kenny turning on Hangman, or Hangman clearly. So I felt like they had been leading up to this for a while, and it was the perfect opportunity to go ahead and pay that off. And I was watching it kind of with that expectation, because I'm like, dude, this is All Out. This is like their flagship, one of their flagship, you know, pay-per-views. I know they only do like 4 a year, but I mean, it was a big opportunity to go ahead and cap off a really exciting and interesting story, and they kind of kept it going, and that frustrated me a little bit. And I know we got a glimpse of the cleaner, and you know, Kenny giving his ultimatum to the Bucks, but it just felt like, again, you're prolonging a story that people are ready to see make a big turn, a big step. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I would have thought like the fact that there are questions about the whole Hangman Page thing would be a plus, not a negative, though. That means that we're being kept in suspense. We're clearly not at the bottom of this yet. So, I mean, I don't understand how that's a critique.
Well, Rob, I know you like storylines that go on for 5+ years, but I'm somewhere in between.
The WWE will.
I'm somewhere
gratification.
I'm somewhere in between you and Seth Rollins on this with the short attention. So I would like, you know, it's been a few months. I would like to see a blow off. I know we'll see it. I know they're not going to just like forget about it like WWE would and move on. But I just thought in my head, hey, All Out, finally, this is time. And we didn't get it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I get that there's maybe more to this story, or at least something's happening with Kenny, but I don't know how that plays into what Hangman's been doing. So that's the problem. It's just they even had, like, on the last episode of Dynamite where FTR is just like, nobody made you turn on your friends, you just did it. And it's just like, wow.
But still, though, you don't want to tie up every loose end on every show. I mean, part of the function of a pay-per-view is to leave some things hanging to make us come back.
What I'm saying is it felt like they weren't leaving anything hanging. That was their resolution, that they had just fooled Hangman into being a dick.
Well,
it was just like,
this is not the end of the story, Gary. Come on now.
All right, we'll see. Hopefully you're right.
Oh, I am.
I know.
He's a doctor. He's a doctor, Gary.
He's a doctor.
Which doesn't make me right, but it should make me informed.
Mimosa Mayhem, Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy. You have no idea how worried I was. Not worried, but when they called it Mimosa Mayhem and you put those, this is my critique. They put those things on both sides of the ring filled with mimosa, which, let's be honest, that's a lot of champagne and orange juice. It was probably just water. Orange water, right? Had to be. Anyway.
Maybe they had a bunch of expired bottles of the bubbly that they didn't sell, and they had to find.
That's why he thought of it. He was just like, we got to get rid of this somehow.
I'm gonna have to either throw these away or like, what the hell? We just put them in a pool and we have a match. Let's do that.
I could get Tony to buy them. We'll use them for a match. He'll buy like 50 cases of this.
Yeah, he got like half off. This was a good deal.
But no, what I was gonna say is, like, and then immediately, like, Jericho stops the thing out, or starts the thing out with hitting the code breaker and goes through the pin. And I was like, what? Why are they counting? And then they announced that it's like pinfall submission or fully submerged in the mimosa. And I'm like, then what the hell is the point of the mimosa? Like, if you're just going to do a match where you could pin or submit somebody, just have like a hardcore match. Like, what? Why? But
I think they do that stuff just to mess with us, just to make us like angry, I think. Because I mean, if you're gonna go through the trouble of having giant pools of mimosa, don't let a pinfall in the match. You have to throw them, in.
Oh, we just lost Will.
Somebody just muted him.
No,
that was the MMA was tight. He was done with him.
Oh no, he's back. Look at him. There he is again.
Hey, I'm here.
He's moving again.
My internet connection is unstable. What I was saying is, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but like in a coffin match, there wasn't a pinfall or submission clause, right? You had to get them in a coffin, close it, stuff like that. So why even like let that be an option?
That's what I'm saying. That was my point. It's like, why would you make a mimosa match and then let there be pinfalls and submissions too. No, you have to dunk somebody in the damn mimosa. That's why we put it there. So
yeah,
Right.
sorry, my internet connection is almost as unstable as Rob's views on that tag team match.
Right. Well, I'm here looking through my rule book. I'm having trouble finding the rules on mimosa matches.
Oh, it's page. Hang on, I'll find it.
Solomon certainly wrote on this.
you know it's in the Pro Wrestling FAQ. If it's anywhere, it's in there in the Pro Wrestling FAQ. That said, I like Orange Cassidy. So sorry everybody that I'm letting down. I think he's all right. I think he's coming around.
Listen,
I think people are writing off Jericho and saying that he's just goofy now and he's just cashing a paycheck. I believe that Jericho, in his heart of hearts, is legitimately trying to take this guy to the next level. I think that's what he's doing.
Completely. When I think of Jericho and Orange Cassidy, I think of Ric Flair and Sting. I think of Nick Aldis and Mike Bennett. I think of guys that are going to, no matter what happens, guys are going to be elevated and enhanced in their careers just for this opportunity. And I really think I think Jericho to me is like the indispensable piece in the AEW. He and Cody Rhodes and to some degree the Young Bucks and all that, but as the founders and all that. But I really think that Jericho is the cog in that. And I think he is doing Orange Cassidy a huge favor because before this, Orange Cassidy was just a guy that appeared on on a show on Vice TV, and he was a curiosity. And now he's one of the hottest tickets. I'm gonna tell you, I'm with you, Gary. I never really liked him before, but I do now because why? Piper likes him. Like Orange Cassidy is the one that's bringing Piper into appreciating AEW, and there has to be something for that because wrestling has to speak to everybody. So
before he was just pockets, and Question Mark was just the guy who didn't know any words, but then you guys and Piper liked Question Mark, and so the same. I didn't know Piper liked him, but that increases my appreciation of him. Before,
like,
to me, he was like a pockets guy, and I thought that's funny for a gimmick. But now but he's hitting new levels here, man. He's like firing up. He's like getting serious when it's time to get serious. It's like he looks good. Sorry, Rob, I ran over you with that one.
No, I was just saying Piper wants the shirt. She's like, give me the shirt with Orange Cassidy's face on it.
I think that shirt's a really cool shirt.
I'm going to get you two of them, Piper. I'm going to get you two. One for school, one for church.
I like his shirts, man. Will, where are you on Orange? Freshly squeezed.
I like him. I agree with everything you guys are saying. In terms of this match, it's going to get criticism again. Here's the difference for me. The criticism I gave to the Matt Hardy situation and these over-the-top dangerous things, that's an issue of personal safety. I don't have a problem with things like this. Now, it's not your classic pro wrestling, and it doesn't check all those boxes. But as Rob said, there's something for everyone. And I think when you look at wrestling as a whole and you look at Chris Jericho and what he's doing for the business, it's phenomenal. It's the fact that he's coming in and there's a lot of jokes about, oh, this was a WWE style gimmick match, just way outlandish. I think that's by design. I think Jericho knows that he's pegged as the ex WWE guy, and he's coming in and he's hamming up all these gimmicks and doing all these outlandish storylines because that's the tie-in, and he's using that to his advantage. He's using that to take his history and not ignore it and bring it over to a new audience and execute it better than WWE would. And am I saying it's like a match of the year candidate? Hell no. I'm not. From a wrestling standpoint, no. From an entertainment standpoint, yeah. But my one, so I liked it overall. I don't think it should have been the next to the last match of the night. That's my one criticism of it. I think you could have gotten rid of the dentist match or put that in the ring and done the mimosa match first, or so. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe put the 8-man tag or something right before the main event, and that would have made a little more sense, I guess. But yeah, I thought the match sounded kind of dumb myself, to be honest with you. But I watched it and I was like, it's fine. It wasn't my favorite match either. It wasn't even my favorite match on this card. But I also I look at it and marvel at things like the fact, what Rob's talking about with Orange Cassidy, he's getting over with people. Like, people love that guy. And I think they get behind him as like a babyface character. Like, I feel like I feel like Jericho is smartly choosing to work with him to put him in that position. And he's becoming like he's going to be one of their hot baby faces, just super hot baby faces, like Will likes me to say.
And let me say this, to bring it back to an NWA perspective. I criticize this match as much, or I appreciate this match the same way I appreciate Question Mark, right? In terms of, if every match on the card was a Mimosa Mayhem and a Stadium Stampede and this and that, I would be highly critical of AEW, the same way I would be if every talent on the NWA roster was Question Mark, right? There's a time and a place for it, and it serves a purpose. And unless it becomes the whole promotion, I don't have a problem with it, and I kind of like it. That's my take on it.
Well, I still stand by that. I think AEW is like trying everything. Like, they're trying like all styles that they can throw in there, and you're gonna have the entertainment. You're gonna have some brutal hardcore stuff every once in a while. They're throwing it all in there, but for better or worse sometimes. But man, you can't argue with Jericho getting, like, you could think that he's the goofy bastard from WWE and he says a lot of weird stuff, but every damn thing that dude does gets over. Like, it always works. Whether you like it or not, you cannot deny that the bubbly got over and the demo god is getting over, and back all the way to the list, which I remember when the list thing happened. I thought that was kind of dumb, but it worked.
Scandinavian two-toe credenza, man. I mean,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The thing about Orange Cassidy, too, that I think we're seeing with him, we're seeing something rare that we don't really get to see a lot. Usually you got a guy like James Kimberly comes in and AEW says, hey, we're going to turn you into this guy. You're going to be Orange Cassidy. And this is the thing. Orange Cassidy has been doing this like his whole career. You know what I mean? It's not something that the AWA didn't invent that. He's been doing this since he was, doing the hard work on the indie trail night after night. I mean, this is organic, and it's a grassroots thing that's really taken hold. And that's one of the things I like about it, because it's like, the fans are making Orange Cassidy. He's over on the strength of his own personality and character. And yeah, he's getting a boost from Jericho, but he wouldn't have gotten a boost unless there wasn't something there to work with. And so I like it, man. I'm more power to him.
No, I believe Jericho probably saw something in this dude and really wanted to get, like, I feel like I could be dead wrong, but it really feels like Jericho thought, like, I see something here that he's missing something I can help him find. Like, I can get him to the next spot, and has essentially Orange Cassidy is arguably in a loftier position in AEW than he's ever, not even arguably, he just is. Jericho said, I think it was on Dynamite, where he said, like, he is a main event player in AEW. Now, I don't know about all that. I don't know if I could see him like winning the world title, at least not yet. But maybe he's got his spot. But he is certainly a fixture on the show now that people expect to see, and a reason people will tune in to watch AEW.
Yeah, I don't see him as a world champion yet either. But that's okay. Not everybody is. I mean, you've got many guys out there who never won it that were like Roddy Piper and Brutus the Barber Beefcake and guys like that who are made and are ultra over, and the title's not necessary. I don't see Orange Cassidy beating a big guy like a Brody Lee or a someone like that, or a Lance Archer or anything, but that's okay. You don't have to. You can only have one champion. So.
Speaking of champions, the very next match up was MJF versus Jon Moxley, or as their ring announcer. Who's their ring announcer?
Justin Roberts.
Yeah, Justin Roberts. God.
Oh, he's still going. Oh, Gary, you're on mute. Look at his face.
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
It's a lot. Anyway, this match, I heard a lot of criticism of this match. I actually really enjoyed this match. I thought this was a good match, and I thought it told a good story. And I want to give it like a B plus or something myself, at least. And then the ending I thought was great. Like MJF's getting bloodied up. He's getting busted up. It's telling the story that Jon Moxley said it would tell. He was a little wrong. Like MJF showed some fire, started coming back. They're like punching each other in the face, like smacking each other around. And Wardlow ends up going for the ring and tossing it into MJF, but MJF misses it and it lands on the ring, but he goes to look to pick it up. The ref has his back turned trying to get Wardlow out of the ring, which is all the perfect setup for if MJF had caught the ring to punch Jon Moxley in the face. But because he lost it, Jon Moxley realizes the ref's back's turned and goes ahead and is like, oh yeah, and hits the paradigm shift on MJF, steals the win, 1, 2, 3. And so MJF goes down to his old twisted ways, I guess. I don't know. You probably have a more poetic way of saying it, Rob. What did you think of that match?
I would say she walks in beauty like the night. Cloudless climb, starry skies, all this best.
Yeah. Oh boy.
No, man, I'm with you. I like the match.
What's weird is he wrote that song about Nick Aldis.
I wrote that
song.
I wrote that sonnet. It's called The Road to 700. She walked in beauty like it. No, man, I'm with you. I like MJF. I mean, I've been critical of him for some things that are more off-camera related. I think he's one of the biggest and brightest stars out there. I do see him holding the belt one day. I thought that there was a chance he was going to win it tonight until something earlier happened and spoiled it for me. But yeah, man. Gosh, I mean, MJF is one of those guys that, like, the classic. You love to see bad things happen to him. You know, you love to see him get beat up, and you will pay to see him get beat up. And we saw Moxley beat that tail, man. And gosh, man, I liked it. It was good.
Yep, I agree. I think the only downside was, again, I felt like it was spoiled a little bit. I mean, and I didn't really go into it thinking that there was a chance, but I like to think there's always a chance. And I just, there wasn't a lot of points where I thought Jon Moxley was going to lose, and maybe you guys feel differently, but for me, a world title match should have those points, and it should there should always be like a shadow of a doubt in your mind. And to me, it was just kind of a foregone conclusion. I think the right guy won, and I think Moxley should continue to carry that belt and continue to feud with people and keep building the prestige and the credibility of himself and that title. And but you know, I thought it was a great world title match all in all. And you're right. I mean, MJF brings something that not a lot of guys bring and not a lot of heels bring. And it is that, like, I just want to see him get his ass kicked. Like, and that takes work. Like he has put in the work to make me feel that way. So I don't feel bad, you know, for feeling that way, because I know that, like, if I told him that candidly and I was like, hey man, I love seeing you get your ass beat, he would probably be like, thanks, man. You know, like, that's what I'm going for, you know? And so that's a true classic heel, a guy who knows his role and he knows how to play his character and he knows how to get himself to the place where he needs to be, because eventually down the line, when he does win, it's going to be despicable. You know what I mean? It's going to be people. I mean, you're talking throwing garbage like they did when Hogan turned with the NWO. Like we're talking about a moment like that. Last night was not that moment. So I think it was right that they didn't put the belt on him.
Who is the girl, man? The girl in his entourage. It's always like, you know, his staff member. It's always like smiling. Who is that?
I forget her name.
I love her, man.
He always says her name.
We need more of her.
Yeah, I don't remember what her name is either. Guys, I think we're the podcast audience is going to be in luck tonight. I don't even see how they're going to miss out on anything. We have just been talking about, we got lucky to be joined by Thunder Rosa at the top of the show. We just ran through AEW All Out. We haven't even hit like the news items. So I guess we can plow through those if you want and see where it takes us. Is that what you're feeling?
Let's do it.
All right. So I'm just going in order here as they're jotted right down here in front of me. Some of this is going to be old news to some of you, but we're going to talk about it anyway because it's on since our last talk. The first one is WWE considers moving NXT off of Wednesday nights. That is the talk. And was looking for this came from WrestleVotes, which I had honest to God never even heard of before this, but like a lot of people are talking about it like it's a thing. So over the past month or so, discussions have transpired regarding NXT moving off Wednesday nights. No decision imminent. However, talks are ongoing. The numbers over the next 2 weeks might have some impact on this decision. I do not know if this is true or not. I have no insight. I have no contacts at WWE, but I feel like that's BS. It could be true. I think it would be better, but I feel like the whole reason that NXT is on Wednesday nights is because they're trying to stop AEW from being the top company or a top company, a relevant company whatsoever. So they feel like they're pulling away from them. I don't think that they expect, I don't think they put NXT there ever. Maybe Vince McMahon really dislikes losing ratings, but most of me thinks that Vince McMahon just wants AEW to not get as many people as it could. And they never expected NXT to be like the #1 wrestling show in the world. I mean, sure, I guess they'd hope for it, but I really, maybe I'm just bitter, and that's my anti-WWE bias or built-in hate or something that I'm not aware of. My WWE racism or whatever. I don't know. I don't have any racism. Let's not go that far.
That's a terrible word to use. You can probably think of, you can say
I do super hot baby faces and racism.
It was a good run, guys. It was a good run.
Yeah. We'll never get monetized now. Thanks, Gary.
All right, I'm gonna shut up. You guys just go. I'm having an off night.
I actually think it's 100% true, and I think because not because I am here to talk about the credibility of WrestleVotes, but I think that yes, Vince McMahon loves competition and he loves squashing his competition, but he also loves money. And when you are consistently getting squashed in the key demo that advertisers are funneling money into, you take a step back and you say, okay, maybe there's no shame in moving to a different night, capturing that demo on a different night because we're not going head to head with another wrestling show, and then get that advertising money. So that even viewpoint comes from the same place, I think, Gary, of that WWE cynicism. But I think it is true, and I think it's a great idea. I think it is, because I think that the more people that can watch both, the better. I mean, I love a good competition as much as anyone, but I mean, both of those shows have the potential to break 1 million viewers if they weren't going head to head. And
so overall, it would be better for the business. Yeah.
Yeah. And so how much better for wrestling as a whole is it, where you got Raw getting over 1 million views every Monday, you got NXT getting over 1 million views every Tuesday, you got AEW over 1 million on Wednesday, and then SmackDown on Thursday, and then you got UWN coming up on Tuesday night. We haven't even talked about NXT going head to head with UWN, if that is the case. So a lot of things to consider, but I think when it comes to Vince McMahon, it's all about the dollars. And I think I did hear too that this was something that USA is pushing for, because they're looking at it from a business standpoint. They're not looking at it from a Wednesday Night War standpoint. They're saying, hey, you're losing this demo to the other wrestling show. Why don't you move so we can get some more ads?
Or are they looking at it like, hey man, if this other show, like if they're thinking long term though, and AEW starts becoming the hottest wrestling show, that hurts them. They're in the long haul of this thing with WWE in a big contract. It goes through like 2024 or something like that. If AEW becomes the top wrestling show, running unopposed, like beating Raw and SmackDown and NXT, that's no bueno for them.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to think about is like, would USA really be okay with this? Because I feel like they'd be in the same boat that Vince is, sort of.
Well, to quote Sergio Roma from Get 'Em to the Greek, Vince is going to be fine. He got like 28 kookaroos. You know what I mean? He's going to be fine. We need to.
Nobody's doubting Vince is going to be fine. He obviously doesn't have to give a damn about anybody else's money. But
if I can get my point in.
I'd rather you didn't.
Here we go.
No, you're right. Both of you are right. I think it's better for the business. I think NXT show. That's the one WWE show that I watch, and I like it for the reason that you like it, because it's the closest analogy to the NWA and Ring of Honor and prize fighting type entities, and it's better to trust me, Vince is aware of the numbers and he wants to win the numbers. This is a guy who's been driven by winning and defeating opponents. I mean, he drove WCW into bankruptcy and bought the company. You know what I mean? I mean, he's obviously aware, but this is a fight that right now he's steadily, regularly, routinely losing. And it only helps him. It helps that revenue stream by moving NXT to a different night, because I'm always the one that I have to watch Dynamite and I DVR NXT and have to come back and watch it later. And it's usually a day or two after that before I get to see it, even though I really like it. So, I think it's a shrewd business decision on Vince's part. If it's true, if it bears out. And I don't think it's the worst thing in the world that now we've got WWE's best show on a night that's not competing with the AWE, and we all get to watch all of it. So
what if it's on Tuesday nights?
Well, I mean, I'm going to be watching United, obviously. So then nothing will change for me, but I'm just trying to get into Vince's mindset here.
Okay. Just saying.
I got my 4-show bundle, bro. I got 20 kookaroos myself. So
bet you do, Rob. We bet you do.
All right, let's move off of kookaroos. Here's a I don't know where this news source came, but since it's posted by Rob Stinson and he's looking cocky over there, I'll go ahead and hit on it. More NWA wrestlers rumored to be appearing at All Out Battle Royal. No.
Spoiler alert. Nope.
So the reason we put that out there. Okay.
Were you citing yourself as the source for that, Rob? I'm confused.
According to Stinson.
Did you create a website and write that article just to share it with us?
I was just trying to get people to buy the pay-per-view, man.
Oh, man. We would be remiss if we did not mention a congratulations to Eric Young for winning the Impact World Heavyweight Championship,
yes.
Beating Eddie Edwards. He's a 2-time champion now. Good to see Eric Young, EY, just back at it. Let's see, just had to get out from under the thumb of the shrewd businessman, and he's back on top over at Impact.
Congrats.
Right, Rob just
Eric Young is my boy, man. I would love to see Eric Young in the NWA. I would love to see it. And I think this is great, man. I mean, well-deserved. He's earned it. He's put his time in. He's walked the hard road that everybody has, and now, look where he's at. So congrats, champ.
I'd like to point out another piece of news that Will posted earlier. Striking news from a source that 2 former wrestlers, WWE Cassius Ohno and Curtis Axel, are rumored to be one of the mystery entrants at the Casino Battle Royal segment at the pay-per-view All Out. Nope.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
But here's why we put that story out.
Listen, we didn't put that story out. I did put out a tweet, though, because I was like, man, if there's some truth to this, I want to go ahead and put my name on the list, for Joe Hennig, if he does show up, because I would have popped for that. I talk about Joe all the time on here. And so I went ahead and put out the tweet, and then, of course, didn't happen. So I didn't delete the tweet, though, because I own my mistakes. So
right.
It's still there if you want to go heckle me over it.
I'm just teasing you.
Yeah.
I've looked terrible all show long, so I gotta bring these things up. Not that these reflect on you guys at all, really.
Did you say own my mistakes or own my Manscaped? What did you say?
Oh, speaking of which, that's a good question. I do own a Manscaped, as do we all. And if you go over to manscaped.com right now, you can get 20% off and free shipping using the code NWAPOD. Wrestling with the MMA in the chat room did try to remind me of this earlier, but I couldn't get a word in over Rob's ranting and ranting. No, I'm just kidding. I forgot about it. I was trying to think of a good segue, which you just kind of helped with, Rob. So there you go. Yeah. All right. Manscaped.com.
Because he said mistake. Will said mistake. I was like, the last mistake I made was going with a number 2, a number 2 guard. Because, man, that Joker boy chewed me up. Hey,
Pentagon Jr. can't be called Pentagon Jr. anymore, just in case you didn't know that. So there'll be none of that. He's Penta L0M. Yeah.
Just doesn't have the same ring, man.
It's guys. This is a hot take. It's a little harder to say. Like when I was reading it, I was trying to say it out loud, and I was like, oh, like stumbling over it. I was like, I don't know about that. I think they could have done something a little easier.
How about just Pentagon, man? Just call him Pentagon.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's copywritten
Pentagon X and Ray Del Toro, man. It's like whoo, crazy.
It's getting wild over at AEW.
Well, now we're going to talk about him a lot more, so I can hear Rob try to say his name over and over, because that would be very entertaining.
Oh, not making light of it, but by the way, The Rock had COVID. His whole family. They look like they're doing better now, but he did put out a little PSA about that. So glad to see he's doing better. Came from a family friend. So make people get tested before they come to your house. I didn't do that with Rob, and now my whole life is upside down.
You're the one who hugged me, dude. Okay, I was like, hey, social distance yourself.
What?
Social distance yourself. You're the one who hugged, gave me a big 4'6" bear hug, bear hug. So don't put that evil on me, man. You might have given it to me.
You gave me those hug eyes. You're like,
that's just how my face looks, man. Look,
we're out at that bar that night, and you were just like, I'm here.
Let's just, hey, man. You
feel it. I'm out here to get hugged tonight.
Yeah. Let's not deny what we feel, bro.
Somebody go get hugged up tonight.
I'm getting a Gary Bear hug, baby.
Hey guys, I don't think this is why the people are here.
Is it not?
For this kind of talk.
Oh man.
Read the
man, I can't figure out which one to go to next. Okay, we'll talk about this. Tony Khan says AEW has no plan to work with anyone else from the NWA at this point. Basically, the story was the working relationship between us is an extent of the good personal relationship between Billy Corgan and me, Khan explained. I've had a good relationship with Billy for years, long before I got into the wrestling business. Frankly, I'm good friends with Chris Nowinski. I really believe in Chris's work, and I think, the Concussion Legacy Foundation does great work. Chris has come in at my request and spoken to all AEW talent. Wow, this quote didn't age well. And we have a good relationship with the Concussion Legacy Foundation. And Chris is my good friend, and he introduced me to Billy years ago and went to one of Billy's concerts. I went to one of Billy's concerts. He's a very nice guy, and I have a lot of respect for Billy as a musician. The NWA's got great history. They aren't really operating right now. Well, pay attention, because they will be here in the next couple of weeks. I think we're very different companies at a very different place, and I think NWA, which sounds like they're going to get back up and running. I wish Billy the best of the stuff he's doing, and I thought this would be a good opportunity for them and for us, because Thunder Rosa is great, and I thought she would make a great challenger for Sheeta. So it's just one of those situations where I thought it would make sense for both sides, and that's why I proposed it. He agreed, and that's why we're doing it. So
it's a non-story, basically. I mean, what he's saying is,
Rob.
Look,
I just read a lot of stuff there, and
no. You read it well. You're a good reader. You're much better than you were months ago.
Yeah, so, you're up to like a 4th grade reading level.
Right now. I'm practicing. Hooking on Pahonics, working for me.
I just think that they're saying, he's saying basically that, look, there's not a formal tie. I don't have plans right now. There's nothing, there's no contract, a corporate agreement between the promotions to do things steadily. But when the opportunities arise, I have a relationship with Billy and we can work together. I think this is actually a good thing. I think he's saying, I have the kind of relationship where when there's a talent and there's a match to be made and the fans want it, we're game. Do we have plans right now? No, this was the one we were working on, but let's see what happens in the future. That's how I took it.
Yeah. And I think even if there are concrete talks about it, he's not going to spill the beans, right? They're going to have it be a surprise, kind of like it was with Thunder, even though they didn't really sell it as a big surprise, which is one of our criticisms of the whole feud. But, I don't think he's going to, is this the same media call where he kind of refused to comment on Brock Lesnar and his status? Brock Lesnar is not going to AEW. Spoiler alert. He's never going to go to AEW. WWE will offer him an ungodly amount of money, but Tony Khan is a good businessman. He doesn't get to where he's at, without being a decent salesman and a businessman. So he's out there selling. And I think that comment is just, it's another sell of saying, hey, we got Thunder versus Sheeta. Enjoy that. and we don't have any concrete plans moving forward. He didn't even shut the door on it. He didn't say, no, we're absolutely not. He just said, as of right now, we don't have any concrete plans. So we'll see.
He did say about Lesnar, like, I can't talk about that, but blah, blah, blah. You can. Like, I mean, there's
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why you're saying you can't, but sure. All right.
Free country.
Yeah. We got one bigger piece of WWE news that I'm waiting to see if this is going to pan out very well, but we would be silly if we didn't take a minute to remind you guys that on September the 15th, the debut show, UWN Primetime Live, you gotta be a part of that. It's history. Nick Aldis is defending the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship against Mike Bennett. You saw Nick Aldis on this show accept Mike Bennett's challenge. You've seen the video of Mike Bennett. Have you ever wondered what Mike Bennett would say to the challenge of Nick Aldis to accepting his challenge? You want to see this?
Boy, that went off the rails.
Do you want to see what happens next? What if we told you? It's late, man. I've been up early this morning, just trying to move some numbers on
boy.
YouTube. You want
to start over? You want to start that from the top? Read the script I sent you, Gary.
This is the analytics, dog. You know what I'm saying? We're just trying to boost the numbers, get the likes,
It's that revenue stream.
subscribes.
We're trying to get to 30 kookaroos.
Yeah, I do that. So that's all I'm trying to do for you.
We're trying
Let's
to get
move it this way.
We're trying to
We got
crush
Mike
the
Bennett
demo.
on the show. That episode's coming out soon. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Depends on how fast I edit. So
Maybe tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. Hell,
Could be.
maybe never.
Shit.
That's what I was thinking about
maybe
the
next
Thunder
month.
Rosa.
it was like the Thunder Rosa video.
I was like, I guess that's not happening.
Maybe
You'll
a
see
day
it on
or
October
two.
15th.
Yeah, maybe a day or two after the match. Who knows?
Yeah.
The point is you got to stay tuned right here. You got to subscribe. You got to like. You got to do all that stuff.
Because we do it better than AEW. We treat it as a surprise. Mike Bennett showing up on the show, and you don't know when.
Yeah,
There it
but I
is.
can't comment on it.
At least we can tell you Mike Bennett shows up on the show. Thunder Rosa just showed up today. How about that? That's the good stuff we do. The rest of it's my failings as a person.
Allegedly. We're not sure that wasn't Brian Rosa with a hologram. So,
Brian, you out there looking good, buddy. Just saying.
yeah.
We're all
Mike
off the
Bennett,
rails.
man.
So why does Will always look disappointed in us?
Because I'm a little bit disappointed and I don't have a good poker face.
Okay.
Day 696 of the title. We're on day 687, by the way. And the champ broke the streak. He defended the belt. So it's now a defended title. So you can't say, oh, the Corona reign, whatever. He's defended the belt, against Noby Bryant, a noble opponent and a worthy opponent. Won it. Now he's defending against Bennett on day 696. The question now remains, will Nick Aldis make it to day 700? I mean, 700 is a major, major milestone. Will we get there? It's not a foregone conclusion because Bennett is hungry. He's hungry, and like we were saying about Lindsey Snow earlier, a hungry man is a dangerous man.
Oh, in all seriousness, when you hear the interview with Mike Bennett, he's got a lot of great stuff to say about obviously his time in WWE, what he's been up to and everything, but he has some strong words for Nick Aldis and some serious discussion about what's going to happen if Nick Aldis doubts him for a second. One of my favorite parts of it that you're going to hear is just a lot of talk about that he's not trying to make a name for himself. He's not trying to reinvent anything. He's just trying to remind everyone who he really is. And I like that part. But anyway, you're going to see all that coming up soon. And then also we should mention EJ Sparks versus Alex Hammerstone for the West Coast Pro Heavyweight Championship. Just announced Heather Monroe is going to be taking on Camille at that event. I feel like there was one other match, and I apologize, I don't have it right here in front of me. But also, we thought Thunder Rosa was going to be there. She's apparently on a later show, so we'll see what happens there. But a lot of surprises in store. You could get that right now for $7.99, an individual show on Fight, or you could buy a package deal for 4 episodes of the show for $23.99. So this is coming out to basically $5 an episode, pretty much. I mean, that's what you're doing. $23.99. You can't beat that. You got to do that. That's what I think. But if you're unsure, if you're not sure, like every week's gonna do it for you, and you want to pay as you go, $7.99 on Fight TV. That's where we recommend you do it. But even if you don't want to, you can still get this on in-demand pay-per-view, and it's $11.99 over there. But guys, you want some legit, real prize fight wrestling? You want some awesome matches, some awesome talent right in front of your face that aren't part of these bigger companies that a lot of you are dissing in the chat right now? You got to go get UWN Primetime Live. Support these people. Show David Marquez and the NWA that you love what they're doing and you want to back them up when they try to make legitimate, real wrestling. So anyway, just got to get that out there.
Well, and speaking of real pro wrestling, and speaking of September 15th, and speaking of spending money, we launched yesterday quietly a brand new hashtag NWA Fam online store. We completely refreshed all the merch available on there. There's actually a t-shirt that's been a big hit so far that says Real Pro Wrestling NWA Fam. So go to thenwapod.com, click on shop or scroll down. You'll see some of the new items. Guys, we got everything on there now. We got face masks, neck gaiters. We got yoga pants for the ladies or the men, if that's what you're into. I'm not here to judge. We got fanny packs. We got a bunch of new shirt designs, hoodies, sweatshirts, all that stuff. So go check it out. And here's a promo code for all you guys between now and September 15th, which is the night of UWN Primetime Live. If you enter promo code PRIZEFIGHT, one word, PRIZEFIGHT, you get free shipping. So go ahead and do that. Get your free shipping. Head on over to the nwapod.com, click on shop, and check out the new stuff. And stay tuned because we're going to be putting out new stuff all the time. And so check it out. Let us know what you think and get your new swag.
Now, Will, hold on. We're living in an era of global pandemic. Did you say that we have face masks or gaiters?
Yes, we do. We have face masks, NWA Fam, face masks, NWA Fam, neck gaiters.
Now, I have a wife that, man, boy, she's banging. Do you have leggings? Because did you say that? Because I mean, not that everyone should wear them, but most people should, and she's definitely one that should. We got that too.
Not only do we have leggings, we have leggings that have the immortal words of Gary Horn himself down one of the pant legs that says, "What is it? History, legacy, tradition." What's your catchphrase? You're muted.
Oh, sorry, I keep doing that today.
Leave the
past, present, future, history, legacy, and tradition.
There it is. There it is. If you want your wife or significant other or yourself to have Gary's words going down the side of your leg, we've got the pants for you.
If you want Rob's wife to have my words going down the side of her leg, order Rob these yoga pants.
You tried that junk once, bro. You tried that junk once, all right? And I didn't appreciate it then.
This took a turn, and I'll say one more time, promo code PRIZEFIGHT from now until September 15th, you get free shipping. So go take advantage of that.
It's no joke, really. These designs, Will did a great job with the designs that are on here. He's not taking full credit for it right down there right now, but he is doing a great job with the designs for the clothing stuff. You got to check it out. It's really cool stuff, like legit stuff you'd be proud to wear. So this is no joke. These are awesome, cool hashtag NWA Fam designs. All right. And now that we got the UWN promo and everything else out of the way, we got one last news item, and we don't have nearly enough time to talk about this, I don't think, because it's getting late. But people got bed and stuff. But tomorrow is Labor Day, so there's that. And this ain't labor for me, baby. You. Anyway. So here's the thing. Let me read the initial statement. Obviously, we all know the parts that WWE's been doing some silly things lately. Vince McMahon issued a letter this past Thursday to all of the WWE talent, telling them basically they can no longer engage with outside third parties. They also said this was presumably involve things like Twitch, Cameo, all of those kind of things that you see wrestlers doing right now. He says, here's the specific thing from the letter. Some of you are engaged with outside third parties using your name and likeness in ways that are detrimental to our company. It is imperative that these activities be terminated within the next 30 days by Friday, October 2nd. Continued violations will result in fines, suspension, or termination at WWE's discretion. Fightful confirmed this story. This has been confirmed all over. The press did go after the McMahons and asked them more about it. WWE did issue a statement, and it says, much like Disney and Warner Brothers, WWE creates, promotes, and invests in its intellectual property, i.e. the stage names of performers like The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns, Big E, and Braun Strowman. It is the control and exploitation of these characters that allows WWE to drive revenue, which in turn enables the company to compensate performance at the highest levels in sports entertainment industry. Notwithstanding the contractual language, it is imperative for the success of our company to protect our greatest assets and establish partnerships with third parties on a company-wide basis rather than at the individual level, which as a result will provide more value for all involved. So naturally, a lot of people are unhappy with this, mainly, the WWE stars that are using these third-party sites and things. Also, you saw a jab at this on the AEW All Out pay-per-view when Kip Sabian promoted his Twitch account, and there was a very special line down at the bottom saying, this was approved by All Elite Wrestling or whatever, and I thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, so here we are. WWE is closing things down. This is a big deal because, you think about, Xavier Woods, if he's the biggest one I thought of right off the bat because he has like a whole brand built around this, like his YouTube streaming and his Twitch streaming, the up, down brand. I don't know if WWE owns any part of that now. They do. Okay, so it's not affecting him.
Yep.
But like Paige streams on Twitch all of the time. She makes bank on Twitch and Cameo and all of those sorts of things. Meltzer, I saw, put out a report that the straw that broke the camel's back was like Lana got some huge deal with Bang energy drinks, and she posted an ad on her Instagram, and then that really just kind of set WWE off. And she has denied that and said that that's not the case, but her husband makes a bunch of money off Twitch too, presumably. But he's not WWE anymore, so I guess it doesn't matter for him. Anyway, my point is where are we standing on this thing? Because this feels like, I posted in our Discord the other day, like even Andrew Yang like put out a thing about like having the number for the Secretary of Labor and wants to point out like, hey, you guys call these people independent contractors. And then you are going to have the ability to control every single thing that they do using their names in a way that benefits them, especially for something as simple as like Cameo. He's like, there should probably be a talk about this, which I'm sure WWE doesn't want to have. But anyway, I imagine that there's a discussion to be had here. So I'm going to give it to Will first, since he's more likely to be on my side.
Fair point. I think it's despicable. I will give this caveat first. I understand the logistics of saying, hey, we own the names Roman Reigns, Paige, all those names that you mentioned, The Fiend and all that. And so if you're going to go and be involved with these third-party sites, you can't use the name that we own, right? I get that. I can get behind that, and I can see the point there. But to demand that they stop completely, to me, seems like overkill, and it seems a little bit unnecessarily rude, I guess, to the talent that your company's built on. And there's a way to rationalize anything in life. There's a way to rationalize the most despicable things you can think of. But for me, they're putting this on the idea that they're trying to preserve their brand. Okay. They're putting this on the idea that they are looking out for the future of WWE, which I didn't realize was in jeopardy because Lana likes energy drinks. And they're framing it this way when in reality, it just seems like they're trying to hoard all the money that they can, and they don't want their talent going and making money elsewhere. And I think they think, oh, we pay you enough, you shouldn't have to do this. And to me, in a society where hard work pays off, you should be able to go have as many ventures as you want, especially if you're an independent contractor. Now, if they were under contract and the contract said you can't go do this and you can't go do that, and they were knowingly violating that contract, I get it. But if if I'm an independent contractor, Gary, and I'm doing marketing or something for you, you don't have the right to tell me what I can and can't do. That's my understanding. Outside of that, now, if you own the name of my business, I can't go do business as that name. I get that. But I'll start another business under another name and I'll go do it under that. But it just, I don't know. It just seems like bad press for me from a company that already just laid off 30 people a couple of months ago and all this stuff. It just it just feels icky.
Yeah, and I think we're dealing with two separate issues here, because I can definitely see what you're saying and can sympathize with the individuals, but on the same hand, I work in the public school system, and the public school system has a great deal of authority and control over what people say, their employees, educators say on social media, and this falls under contract law, not constitutional law. So,
watching this show.
What's that?
I said, ain't none of them watching this show, I guess.
No, yeah, I mean, right, yeah. It's NWA After Dark. So, I mean, if an educator were to go on social media, Facebook, let's say Facebook, and they go on this rant, and in this rant they say something that's grossly offensive, the educator is not protected by invoking their First Amendment right, because they're under contract law. And although I agree with you, Will, that it doesn't sit right. I think Vince is probably paranoid here about something. I don't know why. It doesn't have the best look on the company. It's certainly within his right as a corporate owner to lay down stipulations on what his talent does in their personalities. And again, I'm not saying it's the best look, but I'm saying it's within his right to do so. And here's my thing though: when people go, it's their dream. Like Mike Bennett said the other, well, I don't want to go too far into that, but there are stars that dream about going to the WWE. That's their life's ambition. But they know who they're dealing with. They know they're getting in bed with the devil, and that he might do any number of things, and they willingly enter into this relationship. And every independent contract is different. If they're working as independent contractors, the stipulations are going to be different per contract, just like it is with us in the school system. We deal with independent contractors too, when it comes to like custodial services, when we deal with the cafeteria staff. All those things are different. And Georgia is a right to work state, so all the power is in the contractor, not the contractee. And so these are issues that have been argued in the court system all the way up to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court has said that institutions and corporations act as private parties, and they have a right to do so, just like you and I do. So is it the best look? No, I agree with you. I'm 100%, but it is their right to do so. Yes, it is their right. And we can ascribe whatever nefarious, motives we want to, but at the end of the day, that's just a bunch of autobiography. We're just projecting our impressions upon what Vince is thinking. I don't know what's behind Vince's mind frame there. I don't like it. It doesn't sit well. I want to be able to go and express myself. But if tomorrow Vince said, "Hey, Rob, we like what you're doing with the pod. I want to bring you on WWE for this, and this, but here's the stipulations. And by the way, I might add other stipulations later." You know what I'm doing? I'm sticking with the podcast.
There you go.
There you go, baby.
Oh man, the teased heel turn. You've been teasing a heel turn for a while now.
So Front Row brings up sorry, Will. So Front Row brings up the interesting point of the thing is that the people should be able to use their own names, which I think Will also said too. From my understanding, that's exactly what's happening right now. Is a lot of people are switching out to their OG names, their birth names, And which is typically, that's been a point of discussion in wrestling already. Like it used to be completely taboo, but we saw the whole issue that came up when people started changing their Twitter names to like their real life names. And instead of being their characters, a lot of people had a problem there. But it's interesting to see how that's going to play out, because that's maybe the way around this, so that it's going to be okay. Speaking of Xavier Woods, I was just looking at this, and I don't know that he is owned by WWE. They said that he was on the New Legacy Inc. Twitch stream, and he addressed the third-party platform ban. His exact quote here is, "I don't have any answers. I have no answers. I have no idea what's going on. I think I'm fine. I think most people are fine, but we'll find out. I don't know. I'm not the person to ask. I wish I knew more, but I don't, unfortunately. We're going to stream as much as we can for as long as we can. I'm just trying to build an audience so that I can get my G4 gig. We have a built-in crew, and I can keep my game name alive." Now, Xavier already is maybe ahead of the curve there, because he goes by Austin Creed on his up, down, down stuff. So there was that. We did have the thing where, like Matt Cardona says, if you use any WWE likenesses, that actually did come up, where he said they essentially own it anyway. He found that out originally with his YouTube show. Yeah, I mean, people have come out against this. Mick Foley, CM Punk, Kevin Nash, they've all like spoken out against WWE for doing this. Paige ended up changing her Twitch stream to her real name, and says she has no intention of discontinuing the streaming game. So it's, I think people are switching out in that way. It's just gross. That's the problem. It's like, I wish I disagreed more with Rob, but it is true that they own the names of these people. It's just gross that they say something in the statement like, in order to pay these people at the highest level, and you're like, no, you don't even pay these people like a small percentage of what you could afford to pay these people to compete if you treated them like actual legitimate athletes. And it's just, and that's no excuse. That's a gross thing to say, because if wrestlers like unionized, they could get, man, they would all be loaded. But that's a whole other topic. My point is that why fault them for looking for like other streams of revenue? Like, I just don't get it. Like, it just seems stupid. I mean, if they're not openly, like Rob said, the school system could have control over things that you say. If you went on some kind of Twitter rant and you were like really racist or whatever, you could get fired over it. Yeah, that's all fair. But like, if they're not openly disparaging the company, if they're not doing anything that according to some kind of agreement, like doesn't harm the company, why? Like, it doesn't matter, especially like Cameo. Just let the people just make some bucks off their likeness, like just to sell a $50 Cameo to somebody.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think overall, I mean, Rob, you make good points. And I think, to me, this is not a business issue. This is just a human issue, where it's like, you're over there rolling in money. Why are you worried about AJ Styles' Twitch stream or page? You know what I mean? Like, they're over there grinding. I mean, take it from three guys who run a stream twice a week. This is hard work. Like, this stuff doesn't just happen. Like, these guys are grinding to make it happen. And if they can cash in on it, I say more power to them. I don't see how that's a threat to the WWE in any way, unless, as you said, Rob, they're going on there and giving spoilers or backstage news or scoops or something like that the WWE doesn't want getting out. In that case, that's a whole different issue. That's, hey, you're hurting the business and you need to stop, and we're going to fine you, or we're going to tell you to shut it down. But for the most part, that's not what people are doing. They're going out there and they're creating entertainment. They're creating avenues to connect with fans, and it's all good for the wrestling business. Why split hairs about it, and why, try to flex your business muscle and put a stop to it? That's where I come from.
I think what's going to be really interesting to see is if they go after the people once they've switched their names. Like, if they continue to pursue it, I think that's going to be one of the interesting aspects of this, because in my heart, like, I sort of, again, this is the just being beaten around by WWE for so long, I guess, or whatever. So like Rob said, we don't know what's going on in Vince's brain or anything, but it's easy to kind of picture that like this is more about like, I don't want you making money that I didn't approve you making. And you kind of feel that way. And so if they continue to pursue this after like Paige changes her name to her real name and they're still after it, like she's still the quote unquote likeness of Paige, then that's where it gets really bad. That's where it's like, man, at a certain point, the independent contractor status has to mean something, and if they're not out there just bashing your company or something, like, and they're using their own name now, like, what do you want out of them? I would feel like you wouldn't want them to use their own name personally, but what do I know?
Well, I mean, but again, I'm not going to ascribe motives to Vince. I think Vince is a shrewd businessman. I don't think he's nearly as nefarious as people make out. I mean, he's the corporate head of state of the WWE. There's much to love about it. There's much to hate about it. We talk about the stuff we hate all the time. I don't think he's out there thinking, oh man, she's making money. Let me find a way to hurt her. Or that. I think that he's just been trained, conditioned as a wrestling promoter to be highly protective of the brand. I agree with you. I don't think anybody's sitting here and saying that, oh, Vince is the paragon of virtue and he's treating everybody, like the way that you would treat an individual. And I think we all have a problem with that just on an interpersonal level. But, Vince is thinking, I've got to think in terms of controlling the narrative that our company's putting out. And for good or ill, I can't have somebody putting a spin on the company that even if it's good there, if I let it go there, I've got to let it go here too, and so it's just it's a matter of brand control, and we've even experienced that a little bit, with hey, here's the difference between you and the company. Just let's be clear about where we stand with each other. I think that's what's in Vince's mind. Like, hey, we're the ones that are in control here. We're putting out the narrative. And again, and he may be nefarious. I don't know. I don't know Vince McMahon. I don't know what's in those individual contracts. But all I'm saying is the talent, when they go to business with Vince, they know who they're dealing with. There should be no mistake about the fact that Vince is going to think about talent over company ever. But and yet still, that's the goal. That's where people want to end up at.
Yeah, well, I think this is exactly the kind of thing that in that thread that Andrew Yang put out, he was talking about, like, I think he said specifically in there, hold on, I'll pull it up. Let's get there. But I am curious about one other point I was just thinking of that Front Row reminded me of is that what about the guys that, like, let's bring it back around to NWA, like say Nick Aldis strolled over to the WWE. Is Nick Aldis not allowed to be called Nick Aldis elsewhere? Like, what if the people use their real name on screen? Like, like what happens to them with that sort of situation? That's kind of weird. I don't know. To Rob's point, here's the entire thread from Andrew Yang, or we talked about the first part, but come on, Vince, you've already deprived the folks breaking their backs for you of healthcare, security, recovery time, retirement benefits, and fair treatment like license and royalties. At least let them make a living off their own names. Many of them need it. I grew up a wrestling fan, and it's sad to see so many of my childhood heroes pass away early. I'd feel better knowing that they and their families were being fairly treated. I look forward to doing what I can for the next generation of performance. I know how tough it is. Vince, you'd better hope your old friend Donald wins, because change is in the air and changes are long overdue where your corrupt labor practices are concerned. It would give me great pleasure. The people know. Rob, I know all the places you'd love to take this, but just bear with me for a second. He says, for all the wrestlers who know that you're being misclassified, but are reliant on staying on Vince's good side, even because WWE might hire you, I get it. Our job is to make it easier for you to get what you deserve without risking your career. So even he's saying, like, I mean, I think that kind of is talking about what you're talking about, that maybe there's government interference there, is like what he's proposing, I suppose, that, yeah, it's kind of crappy that, like, people are having to make a deal with the devil to get to their ultimate spot in the industry, like not even arguably the top spot that you could possibly have in the business right now, that you have to sell everything to do that.
Right. If that's your goal, if that's where if your goal is to be there, then this is what comes with the package. This is, you get the, it's like a marriage, the very best relationships in life are difficult. The very best ones are difficult. Bad relationships are almost impossible. But I love my wife. She's my best friend, but it's you have to work at it. And there are things that come with it that aren't the most favorable. And I'm not trying to over benign this and throw too much benevolence on the WWE, but I think that because they put out a product that we don't like, and because they do things that we as prize fighting fans don't appreciate, and damages the tenor of pro wrestling, we therefore have gotten to the point where we like to think of Vince McMahon as like Darth Vader or Palpatine, and he's the head of this evil empire. And I think that we're giving him.
I'm sorry, that didn't land with
me. These are two characters from Lords of the Rings.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Lord from the Rings.
Gotcha.
Palpatine and Darth Vader. So, it's a hard question, man. I mean, dealing with it, this is philosophically, and I think Front Row can appreciate this, my fellow Presbyterian, you're dealing with the interests of the one versus the interests of the many. Both are equally ultimate. You know what I mean? The citizen is not more important than the state, and vice versa. They both have a symbiotic role to play. And I would venture to say that every pro wrestler who's ever entered a business has wanted to get on that main stage. Everybody dreams of being at WrestleMania. Everybody wants that, and they should want that. But if you're going to enter into a relationship with Vince McMahon, there are very few people who have ever been in a position where they have some sort of bargaining weight. Even like if you watch like the last ride about the Undertaker, even he talks about the difficulty and the strain between him and Vince McMahon. And we're talking about the Undertaker here. This is a guy who, because of, he was a great athlete in the WCW and NWA, but it was Vince that made him this name that's bigger than life, that's bigger than the business itself. And there are very few people who ever get to that level. You all want to get there, but along the way, you have to realize that Vince has an interest too. And Vince, for good or ill, say what you want to say about him. He did something right along the way. I mean, he did something right. He is the CEO of the WWE, which even Will, for as much as it's driven you away, even you repeatedly say, this is the mainstay. This is the one that sets the tone for everything. So, Vince is going to be protective of it. He's going to exercise some kind of control. And I'm not siding with him on this. I think that there might be a little bit of over paranoia there. There's no damage done by what Paige does, but he has got to wield some sort of control. And as a corporate head, he has every right to do so. Without him being the guy that poisoned the water in Flint, Michigan. You know what I mean?
But he did.
I'm not sure how we got there.
I'm just kidding. I don't want to get sued for libel or
no,
whatever.
I can, as much as we like this to be a throwdown debate, like our Saudi Arabia debate, I think, we're all seeing each other's points here. And Rob, you've got, perfectly good points that I don't dispute in any way. I think for me, it's just, I'm real big about how things come across. And my wife will tell you this. One of my favorite quotes is, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And you look at it from a PR perspective for the company. And I just feel like it's not a good look. I think there's better ways to go about it. And you could be more specific and maybe leave the door open for some of these guys to still do some of the stuff that they love to do on the side and stuff like that. But you got to be aware, unless you're just totally tone deaf to how you come across, which maybe Vince is, and maybe the company they are. But it's just not a good look. It just doesn't bode well when you're looking at an employer, how they treat their employees. I mean, if this was another corporation, we've seen corporations, their staff go on strike for stuff like this and stuff, and there's been a ton of, Rob, I'm sure you're aware, issues with teachers and pay and stuff like that. And I know that's not the same exact, it's not apples to apples, but in any other industry, you have that ability to kind of have a voice and make it heard. And in this one, it just feels like they're just being micromanaged. Their lives are being micromanaged. I mean, to the point you talk about people's names, and I get trademarks and I get all that kind of stuff. I understand it, but like he's Cody. He's not Cody Rhodes, because WWE owns his name, his real name, or his not his real name, but his known name. Yeah. And so you got all kind of issues like that. And it does become a gray area of what's best for business. And I get all that, but I think the hot button issue for me is just the PR aspect. How does it come across? It doesn't really paint you in a good light or in a way. And you're right. I always do tout that the WWE is the lighthouse, so to speak, for pro wrestling to the world. And this is how they're coming across. It's not a good look for all of pro wrestling. And so as an NWA fan, it doesn't look good for our best interests, that this is going to be on the news and people are going to be talking about it and they're going to be calling, more evidence for this being an evil empire and stuff like that. And I mean, overall, it's just not a good look. So I don't think there's any debate about whether he can do whatever he wants as a businessman or his credentials or what he's earned as far as, building his empire. Again, it's not a great look.
And it's not a good look, but it's not like we woke up today and Vince suddenly became a micromanager. He's always been a micromanager.
That's true.
And everybody knows that. I mean, my friend Lex Lee, who wrestles for the AWF here in town, great wrestler. He appeared on their show as Gary Graham. You can go Google him. He was on the show. He was on either Raw or SmackDown. I can't remember which one, but he tells me, it's like, I went in here. He said, "This is what you say. This is how many minutes you go, and this is what you do, and do not deviate or you'll never be here again." That's how they operate. But everybody knows that. So if you're going to go into business with that, as an adult and as free people, we understand that when we're going into agreement with this company, this is the way they do business. I want to be there, so I'm willing to cede my independence. I'm willing to cede my creativity and to get to this stage. And then ultimately getting there is going to elevate me in the long run, even if if I'm only there for a few months or whatever. Now I can be a former WWE superstar, Rob Stinson, former WWE superstar, Will Martin. They did that for you. So there's some give and take there. I mean, they're doing you the nod by putting you there, but in return, you understand, yeah, you will be micromanaged. You will. Even guys like Roman Reigns are micromanaged.
No. Roman Reigns? You think his promos are scripted, Rob?
No chance.
Sarcasm. No, you're right. It just sucks that that's how it is. That's
I agree.
Well, that actually went a lot better than I expected it to. So
we're all still friends, Rob.
We're all still friends. I thought this was really going to be the end of This Is the NWA, but it's not.
Rob's getting soft on us. I thought we were going to have a better Rowdy Robbie Rude rant. That's what I call him now.
Yeah, well, also, we didn't really fight back either. We were just kind of like, yeah, you make some good points.
Yeah, well, it's late. We should have done it earlier.
Civil disagreement or agreement. Or
is he calling me? God.
Put on speaker.
Oh, God.
We want to hear what he says.
It doesn't show your number. That's good. I didn't want to give away.
Give out Rob's number. Oh, man. It's about to get weird. So, guys, we got to wrap this thing up. It's been fun hanging out with you, #NWAFM. As always, this is a blast, and we are so grateful to all of you for hanging out with us. This has been really, really cool tonight. It's been a blast hanging out with my boys and the whole chat room. As always, hit us up. Check out that store Will was talking about, the NWApod.com. You can go over there and just click on the store, right? They can still get there that way. Yep. Just go check out the store. Check out all of those new designs. They are badass. Check me out on the Twitter and the Instagram at This Is Gary Horn. Rob, where are you? If people want to hear more of your BS.
I'm not quite sure. I think it's at rstinson4 on the Twitter. On Instagram, I'm rdstinson4. On Facebook and MySpace, I'm Dr. Robert Stinson. On the TikTok, I'm Doc McLovin.
That's not true. He's actually not there.
I don't do the TikTok because the Chinese are spying on us, man.
Oh boy.
They all are. Google spying on you, dog. Zoom spying on you right now.
Nah, they not.
We'll tell people where you are. I mean, if you want them to know. Rob's worried about the Chinese. He's hoping they don't watch the streams.
Oh, I don't mind. They can all follow me at Hey It's Will on Twitter and Instagram, at Real Hey It's Will on TikTok. Yeah.
Thank you guys in the chat. Wrestling with the MMA, James Lawrence, Front Row, Brendan, Montgrovian, Mike, all of you. If I missed anybody, RJ was in here earlier. Ryan Murphy,
Dave LaGreca was in here, bro.
James Lawrence. Yeah, Dave LaGreca was hanging out. Thought we'd grab him for the show. Third Right Wing, thank you. And so many more. Freddie's in here. So just a lot of you guys. If I miss anybody, I'm sorry. We love you guys. Thank you so much. And as always, you can hear us on the NWA Pod, which is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere. If you give us a 5-star review there, that would be super awesome. If you just at least subscribe to us on the youtube.com/the NWA Pod, that would be fantastic. And even better if you do all those things and then follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or everywhere else at the NWA Pod, except TikTok, where we are just NWA Pod. And all right, I guess that's it for all the stuff. So thank you again for tuning in. Until next week, enjoy your gravy cake.